Welcome to the season podcast, episode 12. Week 8 reaction, week 9 preview show. Episode 12, Willie. Here we are, huh?
We're rolling, man.
We are rolling. Yeah, that's good stuff. And so I want to remind everybody, too, over the course of the week, if you follow us on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, also on Instagram at the season pod, the SZN pod, and also our YouTube page, which is also at the season pod. We are starting to post some mini episodes. And we're doing that because we realize some of these shows can get a little long, and we want to make some topics, especially that are more time sensitive topics after the weekend. On Sunday, on Monday, we want to hit some topics and make them more digestible for our audience, right? I know Spotify gives chapters so you can scrub ahead and hear topics you might want to hear more about, but the more time sensitive ones and ones we think that could be kind of self-contained, you'll see some mini episodes get posted anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes earlier in the week on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all those places. And we want to continue to point people to those because those, I think, make for good discussion, and they're a little bit shorter, easier to bring in. We're not going to hit those topics necessarily every episode again on our main Wednesday episode. So keep checking us out on those as we continue to post content over the course of the week. Nick, you've had a week, dude. You were in Philly last week. Like I say, about the last 7 days in Philly last week. You've clearly turned into a model.
Yes.
I am. So I'll let Nick get to it in a second because he struck a deal with Lululemon. One of, if not the first NFL athlete to be one of their models and endorsers and wear their stuff with this beautiful body he has. But I'm actually thinking Nick should just take it a step further and maybe do ESPN The Body Issue.
Oh, here we go.
The shoot with Lulu, go check it out online, Nick's Instagram page. He did a shoot with Lulu and his wife, who happens to be my sister. I don't think my sister should do ESPN The Body. I'm not gonna endorse that, but I think Nick should do ESPN The Body Issue, right? We haven't seen one of those in a while. What a way to catch people off guard. Like Nick's miraculous figure on ESPN The Body Issue. When's the last time they did a body issue, by the way? Did that go away? Was that not PC? Did we get rid of that because it wasn't the right thing to do? I think we should go that route. I'm lobbying for this now officially. Nick completely nude on ESPN The Body Issue. Tell me that wouldn't be a hit. You want to get subscribers, ESPN? You're missing a golden opportunity right in front of you. But Nick,
right on the museum steps.
Nick, the Lulu model. I didn't think we'd see this. And some of your, you have a good model face too. You kind of have that
blue steel,
that gaze kind of where it's like, gosh, what a beautiful.
I was
face.
Just thinking of Ben Stiller.
What a beautiful figure.
Oh yeah, just it's just funny. The Lululemon story started back in 2012. I was meeting with Athletes First, my agency, still
13 years ago.
Yeah, 13 years ago.
Wow.
And we're having a conversation, and they asked, hey, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas. I don't think Reebok was in the fold at that point. Mm-hmm. I know you were Reebok when you played, and you loved a lot of their stuff, and some of their stuff wasn't great, but they're making a comeback. And they're like, hey, who would you like to work with? And I remember saying Lululemon. And my agent, Justin, I'm not going to say what he said, but he's basically like, what the heck is that? A
Canadian girls brand, basically, at the time?
And he was just saying, yeah, isn't that like a yoga brand? I go, no, they have great guy workout shirts. It's gonna be huge. I promise you,
you were ahead of your time, is what you're saying.
I was, and it's funny because I just got sent, and I put it on my story this last week, pictures of when I was training with Athletes First, getting ready for the combine, and the black shirt with some white stitching is a Lululemon shirt. Mm-hmm. So when I was in college, on the sale rack at Lululemon in Tucson, Arizona, I bought a couple shirts for like 20-something bucks because they're expensive. And I just loved them. The material, the fit, everything. And I had those shirts for probably a decade. I just got rid of them probably a couple years ago. One was like a purple and neon stitch. You know me, I like some colors. Just like I like my little fluffy shoes that I'm wearing today. No barefoot, just some fluffies.
Those are hideous.
So anyway, I ended up signing with Nike because it just wasn't the right time. But then a couple years later, almost signed with Lululemon. Some things were going on in the NFL. Wasn't the right time for Lululemon to enter the NFL. Well, after the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl, I was Under Armour. And then after the Super Bowl was unsigned, and we were working on a Lululemon deal my last year in Philly. Ended up being their first elite ambassador, or one of their first elite ambassadors in 2019 when I was with Jacksonville. So it was with Lulu officially for a few years. We did a shoot. We did some photos here in Orange County. We did some production in Jacksonville. It was really awesome. And then, career goes on, contract goes away, and then life goes on. I create the Dad Season brand with Pat O'Donnell. We're working on that. And then Lululemon's entering the NFL via Fanatics e-commerce site.
Yeah.
And
like fan gear is what you're saying. Not
yeah,
like
so
on
they're
the field
making fan gear. They
Yeah.
just announced it this week for all 32 teams. And it was awesome because Fergie, who I've worked with there, reached out to Austin, my marketing agent.
Did a beautiful
great
rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. Beautiful.
Not that Fergie.
Oh, not that Fergie.
No, that Fergie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about
Fergie
that
at Lululemon.
Not
man.
Black Eyed Peas Fergie. I'm sorry.
No.
I thought she was an endorser as well.
Yeah, well, maybe someday, maybe now after this podcast continues to blow up. And and so anyway, reached out and they're about to do the storytelling and they wanted me to be a part of it, along with Ryan Clark and his wife and their family, the Montana family, the Achos, among others.
Like Joe Montana?
Yeah,
Oh,
Joe
okay.
Montana.
Well, I'm just making sure. We have multiple names. I don't know what we're talking about here. Yeah.
And I was truly honored. So we did a production day in LA. So Tori and I went down, and I don't even think the family really knew much about it. And I've done a lot of production days in my life, just with different companies, and they're always an adventure. But this was probably the most enjoyable production day I've ever been a part of. They really did an awesome job. They had all the gear out for all the different people they were going to shoot that day. Tori and I were this 4-hour section, and they do Tori's makeup. I had minimal makeup. There's not much you can do to fix this. So.
Wow.
And Tori looked amazing, and then you pick out your outfit. And at the time, I wasn't as cut as I want. Like, that's why I'm still wearing the hoodie. So I put on a hoodie. I didn't put on anything too
Like
tight.
looser fitting, the better.
Yeah, looser fitting,
Yeah.
comfy.
So wait, you're unveiling.
This is it.
This is for those
This
of
is
you
Lululemon.
that have the video portion of this.
It's awesome.
This is a Lululemon team licensed NFL gear, Philadelphia Eagles sweatshirt. This is the first I've seen of official Lulu NFL gear.
Yeah, and when we did it, we got to keep what we wore on the shoot. But they said we couldn't wear it out in public until it was announced because, we coach the Philadelphia Eagles girls.
But this is public now. I mean,
so I can wear it. That's why I'm wearing it. I don't usually wear Philadelphia Eagles stuff out in public.
Yeah.
I just wear just blank stuff or my Dad Season stuff. But now I can.
So you got an exclusion to continue to wear Dad Season in addition to Lulu.
Yeah, I don't think we were.
Would they be mad if you went naked for ESPN?
I
I think this really needs to be a thing. Nick and the body issue needs to be a thing.
I will say if for some reason
I think it'll blow. It'll blow people away.
If Austin calls me and says, "Hey, they heard the podcast and they're interested," I will lose
Hey
it.
man, they can airbrush. They can get rid of any imperfections and just highlight the perfections.
Just a big old booty.
Well, I wasn't gonna go there, but this is now getting weird.
But anyway, I'm gonna keep going on this. So the shoot.
Yeah.
And the photo that they chose, there's a story behind the photo they chose where I'm sort of laying across Tori with like a whatever face, and Tori looks gorgeous and amazing. That photo was like, I brought that idea up because we were like trying to figure out, you do all these different photos and they were awesome. Everyone on set was so great. Like Tori and I left truly just had an awesome time. There was no voiceovers because every time I do a production day, it's voiceovers, it's acting, it's something. When we got there, we were models. Like I've never done just a model shoot, which was weird for me.
Oh, we know.
I'm not a model.
Oh, we know.
And Tori and I were I'm trying to, because you could take, you're taking everything I say right now out of context. So I'm trying to think. We were sitting there and waiting for their direction. And I was like, what if we did something like this? Like, I think this is sort of cool.
Against her?
And I laid it, and they're like, we love it. So they did a lot of photos like that. And then that's the photo they loved because it was just different and it looked really good.
Have you seen? I'm gonna step out of line here for a second. Have you?
I'm trying to keep them in line today.
There's some videos on Instagram that go viral of like, I don't even think it's one guy. Like bunch of guys do this like with their wives. They'll be like laying in bed and they're cuddling with their wives, and they'll like cuddle up next to their wife and they'll like bring their knee over and then they voice over this voice that goes "Duh," like that, and like the second they do that they pull their knee away like, oh my god, I'm like get my man card violated for doing that. You were flirting with that.
I was flirting with it.
It almost felt like your roles should be reversed.
Yes,
but like Tori should be laying there and you should.
But that's why I thought it was genius because
it was questionable. Genius is probably not the word I use.
But when you see it, it grabs your attention because it doesn't look exactly right because the roles are reversed. But they did such a great job with the photo, and we were and just so everyone knows context, we were having a lot of fun.
Oh, I can tell.
Like Tori was it was the first time her and I have done different production days together for different things, but a lot of them are like for causes or whatever. This was the first modeling shoot we got to go together and do it, and we had a blast. The photos turned out great. The announcement was awesome, And yeah, so I just want to say from the beginning, I've always really appreciated Lululemon, and to go full circle and be a part of them coming into the NFL made a lot of sense. And I was really happy that Lululemon reached out and we were able to do it, and everything went well. And the products, honestly, the product's great. The hoodie's great. And it goes well with the dad season merch.
Well, everyone knows they make good quality stuff too. So now they step into the NFL and make team licensed gear. It's pretty exciting. It also reminds me of my pet peeve of the day. It relates to, excuse me, it relates to e-commerce. In an age where we're all trying to declutter, and our inboxes and our timelines and our stories and everything are all jammed up with too much stuff, we're trying to kind of shed and streamline the information that's being sent to us, right? Like you go in your Gmail inbox, you get like 700 emails. You're like, my God, how do I minimize this?
You go back to
Well,
Outlook.
here's one of the issues. One of the issues is that when you buy something online these days, because of all the different like third parties that assist with e-commerce, when you place an order online for something, this is pet peeve of the day. I want to say from the time the order is placed until you actually receive the item in your hand, there's like 19 emails. Like, hey, we've received your order. Okay, great. Order confirmations are good. All right. Hey, we're processing your order. Okay, great. Sounds good, man. Like, I don't need any more information than this. Let me know when it's shipped, right? Hey, we're starting to get your order ready. Hey, okay, cool, man. Like, no more. Like, just let me know once it's shipped, right? Hey, your order's about to ship. Oh my God. Oh, okay, delete that one as well. Hey, your order's ready for pickup. Okay, hey, got it. Like UPS is gonna pick it up. Like, sounds good, right? Hey, your order has shipped. Celebrate. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is all like in a 24-hour period.
Oh yeah.
And then, hey, your order's on its way. Your order's at the facility. Now your order's out for delivery. Oh my gosh, dude, I get it. It's gonna be delivered today by 5 p.m. That's all I need to know. Hey, your order's about to be delivered. Hey, your order's on your front doorstep. Literally 19 emails until I receive it. I'm like, I don't need any more information on this.
Hey,
right?
will you do this questionnaire to tell us how you appreciated everything we
Tell
just
us
did?
what you think. All from one order. And so when I go on Gmail and I have 76 emails from one order, I'm like, this needs to stop. Along with the other things we've talked about, we're trying to make society a better place. All the e-commerce updates need to chill out. I'm not saying Lulu does it. I'm saying pretty much everyone
does
online these days. It's out of control and it needs to stop. And that is the pet peeve of the day.
So
it drives me nuts.
So I'll give you a solve. Because I was doing Gmail because they had AI in Gmail. I'm on Android, so Google Gemini, all that stuff. It does load your inbox up to where now I have no idea where my primary emails are.
Yeah.
And it just bothered me, and I can't. And
Dilution, right?
And it's brutal. But then I went back to Outlook because Outlook has like the primary inbox, which it grabs like the important stuff.
Focused and all that.
It can tell by the algorithm if it's like an ad or one of those, or if it's like a primary thing. And I just had to go back because Gmail doesn't really have that. And it started stressing me out. And then I started missing emails. And then when you start missing emails, people start following you up with text. It's like, I didn't get that email. But if I once I went back to Outlook and I have my Gmails in Outlook, it solved the problem and I can see it. And it grabs most of my primary that I need.
We still need to get rid of it.
I agree.
Streamline it. E-commerce folks, third party, Shopify, all these ones that help with orders. Just help us out here a little bit. We don't need 17 updates. How about just order received, order shipped, order delivered? That's it. 3.
Simplified.
That's even heavy.
It's digestible.
But I'll give you 3. Yeah. No more than that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Exciting week. We're in the midst of the World Series, which has been crazy exciting. We had a
so good
18 inning, Dodger game and Dodger Blue Jays game in Game 3, and then Game 4 the Blue Jays win 2-2. Awesome series going on there. Can't wait to keep watching that. Let's go Week 8 recap. So from a pick standpoint, as you know, we have our picks of the week. Nick and I both across the board winning records again against the spread if you count all games. Another good week for the season podcast. Obviously, the Jets lost in one of our mini pods. We went into that. We had a fun bet on the Jets to go winless. We basically bet on them to lose 10 in a row because they were 0-7. So at the time, when we placed that bet, we bet on them to go 0-17, which means they lose 10 in a row. They go out and win the first dang game. Okay? At plus 2,500, it was a long shot. It was fun. And they go out and win their first game. And they might lose the rest of the games this year. But the fact they won the first one was actually kind of funny.
We keep doing that on these bets, man. We make these bets in the first opportunity we lose them.
Your pick of the week, you took another double-digit line with the Kansas City Chiefs, who are rolling. You had Kansas City at home against Washington, minus 10.5 on Monday Night Football. We'll get into that game a little bit later. Kind of a boring game, but Kansas City still ends up rolling in the end. That hit. I took San Francisco on the road at Houston. Houston surging a little bit. But I thought San Francisco would once again defy the odds given the injuries. They end up losing that game. Mac Jones came down to earth a little bit. They do have obviously some issues on defense. San Francisco does, given all the injuries. San Francisco loses that game. So Evan's pick of the week did not hit. BPN, Big Pick Nick's pick of the week ends up hitting. But overall, kind of an unremarkable Sunday in week 8, right? You had some bad teams win. There weren't any like barn burner games like we had the week before where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened, like Denver at home against the Giants coming back the way they did. But some surprising results nonetheless. So yes. Miami, who's really not a good football team, loads of issues, blows out Atlanta. Blows them out, right? With Cousins starting at quarterback. Cousins struggled. The whole team struggled to protect. But I thought the matchup, despite the fact that Cousins was going to step in, I thought the matchup favored Atlanta for a number of different reasons. One being Atlanta's pass defense is pretty good. Miami likes to throw the ball. Atlanta has Bijan Robinson, who arguably is a top 3 back in the league. And Miami's run defense isn't very good. But surprisingly, Atlanta comes out and goes, hey, you know what? We're just going to set Bijan Robinson to the side a little bit and try to chuck it around. And that did not work. I mean, 2 or 3 quarters of the way through the game, Bijan barely was involved, which was bizarre. Now, granted, they ended up building they fell behind so much they had to start throwing it even more. It did not work. And I don't know that these two are tied. I think had Kirk had a great game, maybe this would be different. But then this week, the word is that Kirk desires to go to a team and contend and start. He wants to be traded. We had not actually heard that. Now, this isn't directly that. It was like a quote from him. It's a report. We hadn't actually heard that Kirk wants to be moved. Kirk Cousins, that is. He's behind Michael Penix right now. We thought maybe some point Kirk would play this year. But now he wants to be moved before the trade deadline. We talked about that earlier in the year, that his cap hit for Atlanta, if he is traded, is likely prohibitive for Atlanta to trade him. So that remains unlikely, even though, something to keep in mind here, someone that will definitely be interested in Kirk Cousins is the Minnesota Vikings. They had like a soft benching of J.J. McCarthy. I think J.J. was ready to play last week. And Carson was so beat up. Carson Wentz.
He's having season-ending
shoulder surgery. Well, now he's done.
Yeah.
But it was painful to watch Carson and all the hits he took against the Chargers. I felt for him. It's like, oh my God, guys, take him out of the game. And I think JJ was ready to play. I just think they felt like, hey, let's hold him back another week and not put him in a position he's not ready for, which I think also screams like how the Vikings feel about JJ McCarthy right now. So in this crazy full circle move, I think you'll see the Vikings at least express interest and reach out to Atlanta. We may not hear all the details of it, but I think the Vikings will be interested in Kirk Cousins. It's just, can they absorb his salary? Probably. Is Atlanta willing to do it given Michael Penix and where he's at and the cap hit? Probably not. But we know Kirk Cousins, even though he didn't play all this week, can help you win football games. And he may move, but it seems unlikely at this point.
No, and I think just for people, just from context, just being a backup quarterback and going in, I mean, I watched some of the game, and yeah, it was tough. Protection was breaking down. And when you haven't played yet that season, like though Kirk is a professional and had such a great career, I mean, I could tell by his footwork and everything, it was just a little slower because he's trying to pick back up the speed of the game. He wasn't getting starter reps during the offseason, during training camp. He's been doing scout team for a long time, and I know he's a pro, but it takes 3 to 4 games to get that like game speed back up. And then when your O-line isn't giving you time to throw the ball, it makes it even more difficult. This is a guess that after playing in this game, he still has the hunger to start. He wants to play. He knows that it's not going to be in Atlanta because of Michael Penix. And his agent probably reached out. All agents have relationships with people like Schefter and everyone that can break news sources, that can softly put it out there and create curiosity amongst teams. And then they can also talk to teams. Atlanta has to give them approval, and obviously his contract is big. But maybe Kirk is like, you know what? This is the end of my career. Like, you know, he sees Joe Flacco going out there and playing. Like, he wants to play. He wants to have an opportunity to play. And I do think the Vikings are an interesting trade candidate. I do think they probably love J.J. McCarthy, but they also have another team in their division that does a great job in the Packers with grooming quarterbacks of the future. And I would like to think that the Vikings are probably taking that same approach. Like, you know, we have Carson. He's playing. He's a veteran. J.J. can continue to learn. Last year he was injured. He's banged up again. We don't want to put him out there. We don't want to damage him because he's going to have a great career. Right now, he's playing this week. So JJ's a competitor. You can see that. It's going to take time for him to adapt, but I think he will.
It'll be tough. I mean, they go to the state. He goes back and plays in the state of Michigan. They play Detroit at Detroit.
Yeah, and it's just does Kirk want to go back to the Vikings? Like if they did want him, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Atlanta. We'll get into Atlanta later, but I do say Kirk's still a good player. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to get the speed back, and I could just tell by watching him play the game. Like it didn't look like his normal speed with footwork and everything, but that will come in time. And he sounds like he still has a hunger to start.
I think the Vikings will absolutely inquire because the Vikings right now are flirting with complete irrelevance. Given the structure of their division, they're in last place. The third place team being the Chicago's at 4-3, the Bears. And the Bears feel fragile, right? Like, granted, their defense has done some good things, mainly lean on takeaways. They didn't get any takeaways against Baltimore, and they lost the game. And we'll get to Caleb in a little bit, too, about what we think it's going to take from Caleb to take this team to another level. But Minnesota's flirting with like a huge downward spiral this year if that position doesn't take a big step. And if they don't see great things from – remember, the trade deadline is November 4th. If they don't see great things from JJ this week, which kind of feels unlikely given they play Detroit, those conversations may heat up about the financial feasibility of this whole thing. So something to keep an eye on. A real bummer this week, as everyone knows, is one of the more exciting players in football who happens to be a rookie, Cam Skattebo for the New York Giants, goes down. It was nasty. It was like Dak Prescott a few years ago. Dislocated ankle, like sitting straight up, foot pointing the wrong direction. Some people don't even like to watch that stuff. For some reason, it doesn't bother me, and I watched it 3 or 4 times, and it's bad. Foot got caught underneath. Had surgery that day. Big Dom brought him some cheesesteaks and pizza at the hospital in Philly where he was having surgery.
Let's just stop right there.
Yeah, go ahead. Big Dom, baby.
This is New York Giant, and I agree with you. Skattebo, I love that. He's great for the league.
It's the worst part of the game.
It's the worst part of the game. He'll bounce back. He's that competitor, brutal injury, but he'll bounce back. I know they got him right in Philly with the surgery. He needs to be playing. He needs to be in the NFL. Like that makes it exciting. I love his energy. It's great for young kids watching the game. He has so much heart. He means a lot to the Giants already as a rookie. He's meant a lot to every team in college he played for. What was it, Sacramento State, ASU,
Correct.
Which was a bitter rival, but I respect the young player, and I want him to get healthy and have a great career. He's great for the league. But it also shows you there's this rivalry in the NFC East. I was a part of it for a lot of my career. I still feel a part of it. The Giants, the Cowboys, the Commanders, and the Eagles. The games are intense. The fan base is aggressive towards one another. It's amazing rivalries. But I love to see that the Philadelphia Eagles, Dom, goes there, provides them food, checks in on them. This is an opponent because he's a human being. And that's what I love about the Philadelphia Eagles organization and Big Dom himself is they're going to go out there and they look out for people even if it's a rival.
Yeah.
I think that's a great example for everyone out there. Just because someone might not align with you and they may be a rival, but if something goes on, man, you can still pray for them. You can go check on them. You can go make sure they're good. And I love that Dom and the Eagles did that for Skattebo. It probably meant a lot to them, even though they're going to be rivals for a long time. And Cam's going to have a lot of great plays in his career against the Eagles. To me, that's a really cool moment in the NFL that everyone should just soak in and be like, man, that's a bright spot of showing that human love for one another. I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, the injury, as we said, is a total bummer. Just brutal. Worst part of the game. And that is a young star that should recover probably quicker than you'd imagine. Like if you tear ligaments, it takes longer. I think he'll be ready. They've already said he should be ready to go next year, be ready to roll, even though it looked awful.
Dude, my guess is he's aggressive with everything he does. Cam is.
And he's young.
He is going to hit rehab every single day, go after it, do everything he can, and get there for his teammates. But what I love about this, and I can just see this being a rookie, because a lot of guys, and we've been there, get injured, done for the year, and unfortunately they're just not a part of the team as much, or they do rehab somewhere else.
Why it's hard.
Cam is that guy, and I hope I see this with the Giants. I hope he's still around, he's still there, and I can just see him on the sidelines or wherever he is, just continuing to be a leader, even as a rookie. For that team is super impressive. So I know, just from his makeup, that's what he's going to do. And he's great for the league.
He can still sit at home during rehab with his foot elevated and slam his head against the wall a few times too, if he needs to, just to stay engaged and stay in the mix.
Oh,
he feels like the type that needs to slam his head a few times to stay engaged.
He's for sure wearing a helmet while doing rehab.
No question. Yeah.
I love it.
I love his attitude.
We're going to be praying for you. Hope you heal up.
Love watching him in college. Great player. Okay, so we talked a lot about A.J. Brown on one of our mini pods, and I know Eagles fans are like, let it go, let it go. No, guys, if you don't think this is a story and you think that people are just talking about this to get attention on their shows, whether it's our show or whether it's Pro Football Talk or wherever you get your news, you're delusional. Because the reality is the media is not perpetuating this story. So if you think they are, stop. The story is being perpetuated by A.J. Brown. When you are the team's best receiver and one of the best players on the football team, and you choose to go to social media to keep putting information out there, you're inviting the speculation. And that's how the media works. The media covers football. It's what makes the NFL so great, is storylines and all the access that media provides, right? So this is a story. It will continue to be a story until the November 4th trade deadline. And then guess what? Prepare yourselves, because in all likelihood, he's not going to be moved. We've acknowledged that many times. This is A.J. Brown we're talking about. Massive cap hit if they were to trade him before November 4th. So a savvy organization like the Eagles would need to be blown away with a trade offer to move him. So we're acknowledging, like we've said many times, it's unlikely he gets traded. But expect to continue to hear this discussion until November 4th. And then secondly, prepare yourselves. Expect to hear it again this offseason, right? Unless something drastically changes. But if his involvement is spotty, like, okay, one game he goes off, and then another game it kind of falls off a little bit, expect to hear this speculation throughout the offseason as well, because that June 1 date of 2026, whether he's a pre or post trade, can affect the cap as well. This is not going to go away, okay? So we talked a lot about AJ, point you to the mini pod on that, on our thoughts. There's a similar, I think there's a story that has some parallels in the NFL right now. That's Myles Garrett. So Myles Garrett is, already arguably the greatest, if not one of the greatest pass rushers of all time. Every physical tool in the book that you can imagine, right? I mean, this is like who Micah Parsons wants to be. That's how good Myles Garrett is, even though I think they're a little bit different players. Myles Garrett's incredible. Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns go and lose 32-13 this past week to the New England Patriots. In that game, Myles had a career day. Myles had 5 sacks in that game and was disruptive in many other plays as well. But the one that shows up on the stat sheet is the 5 sacks. Incredible game. And at times during the game, you could see how frustrated he was, throwing his helmet on the sideline. There's a aerial photo of him sitting off by himself at one point. He's very frustrated because he's with a losing franchise, and I believe right now it's 2-6. I believe the Browns are. And just want to remind you, back in February when Myles had requested a trade, both for financial reasons because he wanted a new deal, everyone knows that, but also claims that he wants to play for a winner. I want to remind you something he said back in February. He said, quote, "The goal was not to go from Cleveland to Canton," meaning go from Cleveland to the Hall of Fame. It's been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. That's what he said. Around that time, there was trade talk back in February. A month after making those comments, he signs for $40 million a year and became the highest paid pass rusher in the league. He no longer is, because now Micah Parsons is. And Aiden Hutchinson has now been paid more than $40 million a year. So he was the highest for, a quick minute. And he actually, when he was making those comments, he said he believes in what Andrew Berry, their GM, and what the Cleveland Browns are doing. As if, okay, all of a sudden now, hey, like somehow they relayed some information to me that makes me think that I'm in the right spot, not just to get paid, but also to possibly be playing with a winner. And by the way, he re-signed with a team that had like 6 quarterbacks in the room at the time, and we didn't even know who was going to start. So it's very easy to point to the fact that, hey, Myles, you knew what you were getting into, right? You chose to sign for $40 million a year. Now, his leverage was somewhat limited because remember, he had 2 years left on the current deal that he was on at the time. So it's not like his deal was about to expire and he could force his hand and get out. He had to get them to be willing to trade him, which was highly unlikely.
Trade and other team willing to pay
Take
him.
it on. It was unlikely, right? So the Browns had more leverage. They ended up getting him signed.
Yep.
And I think what this illustrates is kind of what we're talking about with A.J. Brown, is that delicate balance between high statistical output and playing really good football at any point in your career, which allows you to then maximize your financial opportunities and get paid as much as possible, and then also win and achieve that mountaintop moment of winning a Super Bowl, like every potential Hall of Famer wants to do. Because everyone talks about, when you're talking about Hall of Famers, like, does he have a ring? No. Okay, so that's the box he can't check. But he has all the records, and like, guys will still get in the Hall of Fame, but it's helpful, especially at quarterback. It's helpful to have a ring. Defensive end, probably a little bit less. But I think oftentimes guys are disingenuous about the order of those things. So my belief, Nick, and I don't know if you disagree, is the guys come into the league, the first objective is to no matter what team they're on, win or lose. Like, I really don't believe rookies come in thinking like, I gotta get a ring ASAP. Rookies come in wanting to establish themselves as a premier player in the league, whether it's, ideally right before their next deal, so they can get paid accordingly. So establish themselves with high statistical output and good play. Generational wealth is created from that. and then they can start thinking about legacy and putting themselves in the right spot to win a championship. I think that's the order. And I think oftentimes like players try to convince us that there's some other order or some other way this goes. And I think it's disingenuous. I think Miles ultimately with his comments in February had one thing in mind, and that's to make sure he was the highest paid pass rusher in football. And at that moment, when they re-signed him, he was, right? Micah had not been paid yet. Aiden Hutchinson had not been paid yet. Micah was the highest paid pass rusher in football. They made him happy with a new deal. He signed it. You'll never convince me otherwise that at that moment in time, he thought, by the way, I think we can do this here. I think either Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders, not in that order, or Dylan Gabriel, man, that's the guy. Like, I think we can win this thing. He knew they had a pretty good defense, but there's no way he thought this was even like, I'd be surprised if he even thought it was a playoff team. And so same thing with A.J. Brown, right? A.J.'s in a different situation where he's got the money, 3 for $96. He's on an extension that was 3 for $96 million, A.J. Brown. He's got the rings, but he's not getting the statistical output he wants, and he's pissed off about it. So I don't know what Miles would say to A.J. Miles would probably say, hey, A.J., by the way, dude, you've been paid. You're not getting, my version of 5 sacks a game on a regular basis, but you just got a ring, and you've got a pretty good shot this year. If you handle this right and don't screw up the chemistry, you've got a chance to get another ring. And I want that so badly I can taste it. Yet you're over there complaining in Philly, right? You're putting stuff on social media. And so I think what this does is it underscores just that balance between those three things. And I think oftentimes athletes can be a little bit disingenuous. And I think that's what we're trying to point to is like, guys, shut up. You want to play well and get paid. Right? The window of like maximizing your earning potential in the NFL is so tight. Right? Now for some positions it gets wider and longer, but for most like high impact positions, meaning physical impact on a regular basis, that window is so small. So that's really, I've always believed, what guys ultimately prioritize. And then they go, hey, in that Venn diagram, is there enough crossover of that shaded area to win a Super Bowl as well? And AJ has all that with occasional statistical output drop off. Like he's averaging like 58 yards a game this year, which is a career low for him. And I think his ego wants more. But here you have Miles on the other hand, who's still dominating in a position where you can, off the edge, you still get a lot of one-on-ones. You can still dominate, makes boatloads of cash. And even he's pissed, right? Because I think he feels like he has to be. Like, I can't just be happy with 5 sacks. I got to act mad that we're not winning, right? And so this balance is fascinating to watch with 2 star players that are in different situations, but they're mad about something different. And I'd love to hear those guys come on our show and sit across from each other and be like, okay, guys, battle this out. Miles, what do you have to tell him? Yeah. And then AJ, what do you have to tell him, right? It would be super interesting.
No, it would. And you made so many great points. And I think sometimes we get lost in life and we lose perspective of where we're at. And you hear there's a lot of studies, gratitude, right? Just waking up, and if you can start the day with gratitude, it just sort of it gives you the right direction to go that day. To honestly have the most optimum day, no matter what life brings at you, whether it's a trial, tribulation, whatever it may be. Just gratitude, prayer solves a lot of things of the heart. And I think we're losing some perspective, and it happens as an athlete. There's a lot going on. There's a lot involved. You're a competitor. You made all great points. I agree with all your points. I'm just going to expand a little bit more just to give some more context. Who Myles Garrett is. He has 112.5 sacks in his NFL career. He's played 9 seasons. He's 27th all time currently. Still has a lot of football left to play. Give you context who the top 5 in the NFL.
27th all time in sacks.
In sacks in the NFL history. The top 5 are Bruce Smith with 200, Reggie White with 198, Kevin Green with 160, Julius Peppers with 159.5, and Chris Dolman with 150.5. Currently, he's 4th among active players with Von Miller with 123.5, Cameron Jordan with 124, and Calais Campbell with 113.5.
Wow.
So, he's going to have an opportunity to add more and more sacks. And I agree with you. It's tough. Like, he's drafted by the Browns. He's been with the Browns. If he really took a big picture, he did not have leverage, right? No leverage to really go get traded, get a deal. He wouldn't probably have gotten what he got in Cleveland, though he deserves that. Like, he's the premier player. He's, going to the Hall of Fame. He's got a lot more sacks. Will he eclipse 200? I don't know. 200's only been done once, and that was by Bruce Smith. But it is interesting. And it does show you in the NFL, like, that is great. That's generational wealth. You can impact your family. You can impact communities. You can do a lot of amazing things. That's great. He's probably really happy. Maybe there is a part of him when he's having those conversations with Andrew Berry and the ownership and coaches where he's like, man, it would be really awesome to bring a Super Bowl to Cleveland. It's never been done. I will say there is something that's really special about that. I was a part of it in Philadelphia when I was drafted there. We were a more successful team. They were successful under Andy Reid's era. So it was not like the Browns where they've just struggled, maybe get over 500, struggle. You were with the Browns for several years. You know that, and I know you love playing in Cleveland. You love being a Brown. And a lot of Browns players have a lot of pride for that city and for that team. They just haven't had a lot of great success. So there is something that's really, really special about bringing a city to their first Super Bowl and being able to do that. You see it with the fan base. You see the weight lifted off their shoulders. I was just in Philadelphia speaking at a couple speaking engagements, and I always get several people come up and tell me the story of them watching the Super Bowl with the loved ones. And there's a lot of times where it was like, and then they passed away the next week, or, they were in the hospital room and they're watching it on a 12-inch screen. These stories were just last week, and they mean so much to me because we were able to provide that for them and be a part of doing that for the city. So I get Myles Garrett wanting to stay in Cleveland and be a part of that. He's pivotal. He's a cornerstone piece of that team. But I do. So that's one. I'm with him in that. And then they give him this contract when he has no leverage. He's like, all right, let's do it. Let's find a way. But if you're looking at the bigger picture and that is your main focus and your QB room is the way it is, it doesn't look bright.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you're that player. I get it. And then the frustration comes in because you're doing all this. But deep down, you know that, man, the pieces weren't here this year. Yeah, I signed the contract. That's awesome. Great. They are a long ways away from that happening, and it's tough. I mean, it's tough as an athlete because you're so involved and so many things are going on in your life, your family, the sport, whatever it may be, that sometimes you can't see the big picture. You can see when you can really step back, you would say the Browns aren't going to be successful this season. Yeah. I like Stefanski. I've talked to him. I actually really like him. I've never played for him, but like having a conversation with him for an hour one day, I think it was like off season ago or something on the phone. He was asking me about another coach. I really enjoyed that conversation. I loved his philosophy and everything. They just don't have a quarterback. Yeah. They don't have a quarterback. It's hard to win a Super Bowl without an elite quarterback room. It's very seldom done. And now in the modern era, I know we're going to get into it with the Colts, but I'm going to use this quote. Shane Steichen, you have to pass in the first half to win. You got to run in the second. So you got to be able to pass the ball. You can't just win a Super Bowl now just running the ball. You got to be able to threaten them with passing. So there's a lot there. He's on a great trajectory with his career. But bringing it back to A.J. Brown, I agree with you. This is a great perspective piece for A.J. Brown. Myles Garrett is one of the best, if not the best defensive player in the NFL. Mm-hmm. He is one of the highest paid players. He has amazing output. Breaks a record that he set for the Browns. Mm-hmm. He had 4.5 sacks one game. Just re-broke his own record. And he's unhappy because they're not having success. It's
or at
hard.
least he says he is, which I think sometimes these guys want to make it look like they are. Like it's not okay to lose, so I got to act pissed off.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, you know how it is.
I think he's oversensitive to the fact that I had 5 sacks. If I appear like content, then I'm going to get criticized for being like this guy on a team that only cares about my numbers. So I almost think he's overcorrecting in a way and saying like, this is unacceptable. I'm pissed off, throwing my helmet. I get it. But like everyone's already pointed out, it's like, Myles, what did you expect? We'd be silly if we didn't point out Joe Thomas as well. Yeah. Joe Thomas is one of the all-time greats for that organization. We might have Joe on the show at some point. Good buddy of mine, left tackle for the Browns for a long time, Hall of Famer, like 10 straight Pro Bowls, and finally, tore his triceps and decided to move on. Joe never even went, or he went to a playoff game early in his career, but they were never a serious contender. And Joe just took care of business each and every week, and he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah. And never even sniffed a chance to win a ring. Never sniffed.
Well, we have to
and also never came out of a game one time and said, I'm sick of it. I'm pissed, right? Because he realized, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it doesn't help you. And I would say this to Myles Garrett, just, from he's a leader. I think he wears the C on his chest, once again, like A.J. Brown. He's highest paid player, one of the best players. I get the frustration, man. I get it. We've all been there.
Do you think some of it's for show, or do you think he's really that?
I don't know him enough to even talk on it, so I don't even want to allude to anything. I'm just going to speak from what I know, and that is that as a leader on the sideline, the second everyone's looking to you. Mm-hmm. One. Yeah. Even if you're not him, like when I was a backup quarterback in Philly, like after winning the Super Bowl, I was still a leader. I ran scout team, but guys wanted to see how I responded every single day going in the facility, because when we'd walk in the facility, the Super Bowl pictures are on the wall, and there's a huge picture of me as Super Bowl MVP on the wall. Mm-hmm. Yet I'm going to be the scout team quarterback, and I'm sitting in the back of the plane in the middle seat.
That's amazing.
But I knew that God had placed me there to glorify him and to impact others. And I knew, however, how I responded, one, starting the day with gratitude, starting the day in the word, starting the day with prayer, had to get me in the right perspective to realize it's not about the game. Someday this game will be over. And you want to look back and be like, even wins, losses, sacks, touchdowns, Super Bowls, really doesn't matter. What I look back at is, if I run across a teammate, did I impact them? Did I help them become better? Did I help them in life? Did I check in on them? Did I mean something to them more than just a statistic or Super Bowl champ? That's what means a lot to me. So all these guys, A.J. Brown, Myles Garrett, like, I respect you. Your players, we both do. We've been there. It is an extremely difficult sport. You get paid well to do it, but you're still human and it's still difficult. There's still a lot. But if you are in that role where everyone else is looking to you, these kids are looking to you. I see it when we coach flag football. If something's going on and, like, there's maybe a lot more trash talking in the NFL or all these dances at people, like, kids start doing that in flag, and parents are like, wait, why are they doing that? I'm like, well, they just saw it in the NFL. They're like, no, that's not how we It's like, well, this is what they're watching. As an NFL player, remember, you got kids watching. So when you go to the sideline and slam your hand, trust me, I get that you're frustrated. I've been there. But the sideline's looking to you. The second you do that, you lose the sideline.
Yeah.
The second every player sees you slam your helmet, it's deflated.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. Your teammates don't see, like, oh, he's pissed off, we got to play better. Okay, then you might ask, well, what do you do, Nick? It's like, yeah, you can be the emotion. You can go, you can do whatever. But go up to the guys. You are the leader. And as much as you hurt inside and as much as you're frustrated, you keep them going. What I would do is I go up to the O-line, make sure they're good. I go up to receivers. Even if we're getting our butts beat. I remember Tampa Bay in 2018, we're just getting beat by them. This is after the Super Bowl. You go check on guys. Hey, I see you. Hey, we're doing this. Hey, O-line, hey, this is what we're doing with the protection. Keep going. Keep fighting. Even if we're down 30 points in 2 minutes to go in the game. My message is always, finish the game. Do not give up. Hey, I knew we weren't going to win the game, but I wanted the second we got off that field, we gave everything we had, even if we lost by 30, because when you leave the game with that mentality, you're going to get stronger even when you doubt it. So as a leader, you're called to do more. You're not just with your voice or your stats, by your actions. Leaders have to realize actions matter. So with those guys, I get the frustration and all this. Just remember, you can chase a franchise, but all that stuff has to align.
The frustration's still different. And if I'm a teammate of both these guys, talking about A.J. Brown and Myles Garrett, I can probably get on board more with Myles because I see a guy who's making $40 million a year and is highly productive and is still upset and pissed because it's not good enough. He wants to win.
Yep.
I can probably get on board with that more than an A.J. Brown, who, by the way, we're 6-2. We are murdering our division. Other guys are being productive. You haven't had quite the season you expected, and you're bitching on social media. I can't get on board with that. Yeah. In fact, A.J., if I were his teammate, would actually really piss me off. Myles, I could roll with that. I'd be like, damn, dude, this guy's like, man, especially as most players in the roster are not making anything near that, right? They can be like, this guy's making $40 million a year, just had 5 sacks, and he's still pissed. I could see a world where the locker room's like, I appreciate that, right? Even though we're saying like, hey, like, just chill out, right?
Oh, I think that's super fair.
I can get on board with that more than I can get on board with A.J. Brown. That's why
I do have one more comment just with the Eagles and like what they're doing. They're figuring it out. I mean, watching their film, they're doing a better job on first and second down. Their predictability, how they've struggled, more play action on first and second down, more stretching the field. I mean, I'm going to say it. I mean, Jalen Hurts is starting to work himself into the MVP category.
He's squarely in it.
Yeah, I mean, his statistical output and what he is doing right now is the best of his career, and his numbers are insane.
You want to hear what those are?
I want to hear what they are.
All right, so here's more on the way the Eagles offense is playing. Jalen is the third Eagles QB since the 1970 merger. The third Eagles quarterback since the 1970s merger to have a 140 or more passer rating in consecutive games. The last 2 games, he's been over 140. You know who he joins in doing that? He joins a guy named Randall Cunningham from 1992.
Pretty awesome.
And then he joins some dude named Nick Foles from 2013.
Who's wearing his big red
And by the way, this
shoes.
wasn't even 18. So you idiots in the comments on Instagram that are like, man, what the hell, dude? 1 Super Bowl, you think you can comment on Jalen? No, not quite. We're actually talking about a completely different season in 2013.
Yeah.
Right? Where you had consecutive games where the passer rating was over 140. Impressive. Second one, Jalen has the best touchdown to INT ratio in the league right now at 20-2. How about that?
Unbelievable.
That's incredible.
He's on pace for mid-30s touchdowns, maybe 4 picks, 5 picks.
20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. We haven't even hit the halfway point. So he's taking care of the football, and they've been pretty dang explosive too. The Eagles' offense has averaged 7.9 yards per play against the Giants last week. You know what that is? You know, last time the Eagles offense averaged over 7.9 yards per play, it was the 7 touchdown game against the Raiders in 2013.
That's insane.
Right? You guys had over 7.9 yards of play in that game.
Yeah.
So this offense has not done that since that game. This was the Chip Kelly Eagles in 2013, which you were the quarterback of, right? And did you play in the fourth quarter?
I was out with several minutes to go in the third. I didn't even sniff
Isn't
the
that
fourth
crazy?
quarter.
7 touchdowns, didn't even play in the fourth quarter.
The key to that game, though, 2 double-doubles from in and out the night before the game was.
That was it?
That was the game.
I thought I saw some extra jiggle out there.
Yeah, hey, I needed that extra
That
jiggle.
was it, baby.
That was it.
Okay.
Shout out In-N-Out Burger.
One more thought on the Eagles game that we had not gotten to yet. They got away with murder on the tush push. That was a fumble. I don't think there's any question about that. I don't know. So, and I'm bringing this up not because I don't think this necessarily means the tush push. This is not ammo to get rid of the tush push.
Best referee.
The referees missed it. Jalen reached the ball. The play should not have been blown dead. And Kayvon Thibodeau was able to pull it out of Jalen's hands. And the play was blown dead because of forward progress, and that's not reviewable. I am tired of the non-reviewable forward progress thing in the NFL. It drives me nuts. It is like the crutch for everything officials want. They go, oh, sorry, forward progress, can't touch it. Why not? Now, again, I understand that they're going to say, well, we can't really review forward progress because guys stop playing. The whistle's blown. It's hard to say what would have happened. Well, when there's a fumble and it's ruled down, and then they say, well, actually, no, that was a fumble and there was a clear recovery. Well, when it's ruled down, a lot of guys think the play's over, right? And then they say clear recovery, so they end up giving the ball to the other team. The NFL has to find a solution. I got to give it more thought about what I think the solution should be, but the NFL has to find a solution to this annoying forward progress sort of out that they have on plays, where they screw up and they say, oh, sorry, forward progress is blown dead. Forward progress didn't affect that play at all the way it was actually. It didn't slow the players down. Kayvon ripped that ball out.
Right
and
away.
It would have changed the game. Brian Daboll had every right to be extremely angry about it. That may or may not have changed the complexion of the game, but it was a big play, right? Eagles got away with one there. It was pretty good, though.
I'll make a comment on it.
Yeah.
You know, I've backed the tush push. I've said why over and over again. I think the Eagles are the best at doing it. I'm slightly biased towards the Eagles, but I try not to be when we talk. I try to, context and just critical and then whatever. That definitely was a fumble.
Mm-hmm.
I would be pissed if I were the Giants. I was shocked that it was not called a fumble. I thought Thibodeau made a great play. And my guess is the league went back to the Giants and apologized, which doesn't help after the fact because it is a game-changing play, though it probably didn't change the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
It is a potential change game.
Sure.
A change of play. And, I would be obsessed.
Well, I think what can happen, too, in with that play is that officials have become so sensitive to the way it's being officiated. They're so locked in.
Yeah.
And they're down in their stance. They're watching, making sure no one's jumping off sides. And the second they see even a hair of a stalemate, whistle blows. And then they see, oh, shoot, the play's kind of still going. Then he fumbles, and they're like, we blew it dead, guys. Sorry. So you might even be, like, in a weird way, you might even be seeing, like, an over-officiating of the play now. Because
I agree with
the
that.
referees are like, hands on knees, like, hey, I'm going to try to see everything that goes on here. And they blow it dead way too early. There was no reason to blow that play dead.
Yeah,
right?
I
Easy
agree.
for us to say from where we sit, but there was no reason to blow it dead.
I agree with that.
All right, let's take a quick look at the playoff picture, AFC, NFC. A reason I bring this up now, we're not even to the halfway point, but it's sort of a reset. And I want to know from Nick also what holds up and what fades here based on what we've seen so far. So in the AFC, here's the 1 through 4 seeds that the playoffs were to start today. This means the division leaders, which would be the 1 through 4 seeds. Colts at 7-1, Patriots at 6-2 for the AFC East, Denver at 6-2 for the AFC West, and Steelers at 4-3 for the AFC North. The wild cards as of today would be the Bills at 5-2, right behind the Pats. Same number of losses, not as many wins because of a bye. Chargers 5-3, Chiefs 5-3. And on the outside looking in, but still I'm going to bring them up because I still think they're a threat down the stretch. Baltimore's 2-5. We're going to get to their schedule in a sec. Feels like they're about to go on a run with Lamar coming back. Houston is 3-4, the Houston Texans. Okay, that's the AFC picture. Anything there, Nick, that you think doesn't hold up down the stretch?
I mean, because the Steelers conference is so out of place, the division, AFC North, like, I think they're going to be a beneficiary of that. But like, I still, like, with their defense, they're not that as good as I thought they'd be.
We saw it.
Yeah, we saw it
On Sunday night against the Packers, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really starting to take effect. And you said Baltimore, you still think's in there potentially?
So
long shot?
I would put. So I'm looking. I look squarely at. I feel. We'll get to the Colts in a sec. Feel great about them. The Denver Chiefs dynamic is going to be interesting. But there's two things that really jump out to me. One is the AFC East. So the Patriots and the Bills. It's easy for people to say, "Oh, no, that'll normalize, and the Bills will take that over." I'm not so sure, because when I watch and this is something I think is actually going to hold up. When I watch the Patriots play and whether or not they can win this division with the Bills, Jets and Miami not really a threat. I don't see a glaring weakness right now with New England. They're 6-2.
Yeah.
Their remaining schedule, go take a look, is more favorable than the Bills' remaining schedule. The Patriots appear right now to be a more complete football team. They are better defensively. I know they don't have Josh Allen, but Drake May is getting better every week, and he is a star already. And I think the Bills are far too Josh Allen reliant. I think their defense is average at best, possibly below average. They got a lot of stuff out of the run game this past week, but I think they're too Josh Allen reliant, and I don't trust their defense. The Patriots on offense are 7th in points per game. They're 10th in yards per game. This is a young quarterback that's going to get better over the course of the season. They're 18th in rush yards per game, and they're 9th in pass yards per game. They've had a culture that's made a rapid transformation under Mike Vrabel, and they have a star at quarterback. Could they use a better playmaker on the outside? Yes. Very possible, right? By the way, one more note on A.J. Brown. I'm of the mindset that the Eagles right now are unofficially sort of shopping A.J. Brown. And if you're unofficially shopping A.J. Brown, who's a team out there with some space that has some A.J. Brown familiarity that could be interested? Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel had A.J. Brown in Tennessee. There's a relationship there. I think they're a playmaker on even though Stephon Diggs is really good and they have good tight ends, I think they're a playmaker on the outside from being like super dangerous. Do I think the Patriots will be able to pull this off with the Eagles? Unlikely, because I think the Eagles are going to ask for the farm to make that happen, to make it worth their time. But it's something to at least keep in mind. So the Patriots, for me, at this moment, I think the Patriots are a bigger threat to win that division. Some people would say I'm crazy. I think the Bills have a flawed roster, and they're far too Josh Allen reliant. And then secondly, the Steelers. So the Ravens, and the reason I don't think this holds up for the Steelers, even though I like the way Aaron's playing, this defense is a mess. It's the highest paid defense in the NFL. And really the way they're built, unlike past Steelers defenses, this defense is built to basically get after the passer, right? Most notably Watt on the outside. And they're not even doing that all that well. They're not tough in the middle of the defense, getting stops, especially the linebacker position. It's not a defense going to beat you up at the line of scrimmage, but they are built to kind of get after the passer, and we're not even seeing that happen right now. So I go to the Ravens. They start at 2-5. And what's been their biggest issue? Lamar being out, and they've had a bunch of issues on defense. They're getting Lamar back this week for Thursday Night Football. They're 2-5. Steelers are 4-3. That difference is not insurmountable at this point in the season. It feels like the Ravens are about to make a run, and they're getting key defensive players back. Here's their schedule coming up. They're at Miami. They're at Minnesota. They're at Cleveland. They're home against the Jets. They're home against Cincy. They're home against Pittsburgh. They're home against Cincy. All those games are very winnable if Lamar is healthy.
They can make a run.
Lamar didn't play last week because they want to bring him back when he's 100%. Now, you might say, well, Evan, they struggled even when Lamar was out there. Fair, but that was also largely because of what was happening defensively. And they're getting guys back healthy defensively, key players. Roquan Smith being one of them that came back a week or two ago. But other guys are going to start coming back, and I think this team's going to look completely different. And if I'm a Steelers fan, I go, our lead isn't safe enough for comfort, for sure. We're not even halfway through the season. And Baltimore's about to make a run.
Yeah.
So that's going to be – those two things I think are going to be very interesting to watch. Obviously, the AFC West is an easy one to look at too, with Denver at 6-2 and Chiefs arguably being the best team in football. Denver may not hold up there. Chiefs may maybe supplant them, and Denver ends up a wild card team.
I'll give you some more context to the AFC West.
Yeah.
Chiefs have one of the Chiefs and Broncos have tough schedules. Top 10 tough schedules. Chargers, very easiest schedule. So AFC West to finish the season right now, out of all the schedules, the Chargers have the easiest road to success. So
seems like that division will get 3 playoff teams, though.
Yeah, I mean we started this year saying it's an extremely impressive division, and we're sitting in here halfway point. It is an extremely impressive division.
All those teams are just going to get better. I mean, Denver is another example of a team. No one gets sacked less than Bo Nix, and nobody gets more sacks than the Denver Broncos. So like we said a couple weeks ago, it's like we get after your passer, you don't touch ours. And that is a deadly mix. I don't think the Broncos are the best team in football by any means. There's some inconsistencies offensively, but they're really good at what matters, what really, really matters, and that's the line of scrimmage. And that'll keep them in the mix at least for a wild card spot. All right, let's look at the NFC. Seeds 1 through 4, division leaders. Green Bay at 5-1-1, Philly at 6-2. That division feels over. Tampa at 6-2, Seattle at 5-2. Wild cards. Lions at 5-2, Rams at 5-2, Niners 5-3. And on the outside looking in for now, I don't think this division's as deep. Only one team, Chicago at 4-3. Anything not hold up there for you? Anything persist there for you? What do you see that jumps out? How about between Green Bay and the Lions? That's going to be an interesting one.
I think that's going to be a battle. And then, the NFC West, Seattle and Niners, just it's going to come down to those two. But yeah, I think, and then Philly, I do agree. Well, I guess you got Rams in there too. I mean, the NFC West, once again, it's like the AFC West. Extremely good division. It's going to be interesting to see the second half of the season. NFC East is pretty locked up. And then I'd say NFC South, you got Tampa Bay. I mean, who else is rivaling Tampa Bay in that division?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'm going to come back to the Rams, though, in the NFC West. Yeah. Right now, Seattle's up top at 5-2. The Rams are also 5-2. But I think the Rams ultimately, over the Niners too, get the clip on this division. They have the highest overall grade and highest graded offense in the NFL, according to PFF. The key, if you want to stop them, is getting to Matt Stafford, because they lead the NFL in big pass plays. We know Matt Stafford's not, they don't even move the pocket all that much. And we know Matt Stafford is not this crazy mobile guy, but he'll pick you apart from the pocket, right? It's incredible. Their offensive line's solid. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's solid. It's not a weakness for them. Their offensive line has to hold up. But with a good young defense, Sean McVay is the head coach, a quarterback in Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua has been out. He'll be back. This is the most explosive offense in football, according to the numbers, right? And I think the Rams ultimately win. Now, this doesn't totally change the playoff picture, because I think you're going to see Seattle just be a wild card team, and I think the Niners will just hang on for dear life down the stretch to stay in the mix to be a playoff team. But it's fun to look at these things this early in the season, because a lot of it bucks some of the expectations we already had, and then some of it is according to what we thought. AFC West, for example, is an interesting one.
AFC West, NFC West, those are two fun divisions that are going to be fun to watch the second half of the season for sure.
All right, so when we talked about the NFC, one of the top, or the number one seed as of now, at 5-1-1 would be the Green Bay Packers. And they had a fantastic game on the road on Sunday night against the Steelers. It was obviously a big moment for Jordan Love. He's playing against the former Packers quarterback, and arguably one of the greatest talents of all, or the greatest talent of all time at that position. And that is a big moment for him, right? Through 7 games this year, Jordan Love is a 71% passer, just under 1,800 yards, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Coming into the season, it felt like, hey, they have this like ascending talent in Jordan Love. But it still felt to me that still has a lot to prove, right? Especially in big moments. Because we really haven't seen Jordan Love yet in these high leverage moments, right? Like, how's he going to? And I thought this was one of them. Now, again, you might say, well, it's the Steelers defense. Why is it one of them? Well, look, psychologically, these guys are human beings. There is a lot on the mind of Jordan Love going into that game against Aaron Rodgers on the road, right? He knows he's got to show up. And boy, did he show up. On Sunday night against the Steelers, he was 29 of 37. He was a 78% passer and threw for 360 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. His 134 passer rating was the best of his career in a single game. And he showed up and he outplayed one of the greatest quarterbacks of all times under those circumstances. It was incredible. And for that reason, I'm ready to say, I'm not calling Jordan Love this ascending talent anymore. I think Jordan Love has arrived. And thankfully for Green Bay, because the way the roster is built, this is the piece they needed the most, is Jordan Love to arrive. And they become a contender immediately if Jordan Love arrives.
Wow, you've really changed your tune throughout the year.
I have. I'm telling you, there's no reason.
This is a big moment.
There's no reason for me to – I didn't doubt him. I just said there's still some more things we need to see.
So this did it for you, this game.
And here's why. Is because, for example, I think their tight end Tucker Kraft is up there with top 3 tight ends in football so far this year.
He's playing well.
He's got 30 catches for 469 yards and 6 touchdowns, and he is an all-around tight end. He does everything, right? And the one thing, too, I don't think that we give him enough credit on is their defense. So their defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, this is in Green Bay. I love their scheme. So that when you give a defensive coordinator fun toys to play with, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, Quay Walker. When you give him toys to play with, you expect him to take advantage of those toys and do something cool to make it all work. When I watch them on film and watch all the different ways they line up, he's not only trying to like do things to get Micah Parsons free. He's making all those guys. He's making you second guess. Like he's lining Micah up all over the place. And it's helped Rashawn Gary. It's helped it's helped all these guys get after the passer. But Jeff Hafley has done a fantastic job on defense of taking this really expensive new toy he got and making the most out of it. Mike has been crazy productive since he kind of got in game shape and got his legs underneath him. And it's not just Micah, hey, on the edge, isolated, go out. They're scheming to get him in the right position too, to where they're
he's moving around.
He's moving around a ton.
Yeah.
Right. And so with all these weapons and the way the receivers are playing, they've got Christian Watkins back, which is huge weapon, right? All they need is that general at quarterback to step up and be the guy. And at this point in the season, I think you're crazy if you're looking at anything but like Jordan Love. I'm not saying he's an MVP candidate, but Jordan Love is everything he needs to be for Green Bay to be a contender. And at this point, like I'm looking at the Packers. They've been a little up and down at times, but I'm looking at the Packers now saying like this team, this is something. And this team is a legitimate threat to win a title this year.
Yeah, if I agree with you. And just watching their game, there was just things that stood out. You know, Jordan Love has the ability, and, you know, he's with Aaron, but just a skill set, the arm angle change. They motioned to 3-by-1 and through a play that Green Bay's done forever where the tight end goes out in the flat and number 2 and number 1 block for him. His number 3 is in the flat. We used to call it the Lambeau screen because Green Bay's done it forever with Aaron Rodgers. They score a touchdown. But the D ends up the field, and if you watch the clip, he then has to drop his arm way lower and just sort of scoop it around the guy with a nice little sidearm. Perfect pass, accurate, ends up being a touchdown. Zen time. You put it in 1 or 2?
Double D.
Double D, upper and lower. Love it. About 6 milligram total.
Double-decker.
Another thing that you alluded to, playing A-Rod, that's impressive.
This show is brought to you by.
Yeah, someday.
These takes are brought to you by. Anyway.
But I love Green Bay's play calling. I think they mix it up really well. You know, and watching their game, it seems like the Eagles have probably been watching film of Green Bay. Just, you know, different personnels, different formations, different motions with a purpose. Play action on first and second down, base downs when, you know, it's a run tendency. You want to do play action. The thing I like most, if I choose one thing with Jordan Love, we've talked about other quarterbacks in the league that have trouble with getting through progressions. They stick to number 1 and then they scramble around and try to make a play. I see it with young quarterbacks, you know, watching Jackson Dart. You know, he 1, 2, all right, I'm going to run around, try to make a play. And they have the ability to do that. Cam Ward, same thing in Tennessee, watching some film of him. You know, he doesn't have anything blocking for him, so he's out there surviving. And he's just sticking in there, so I'm proud of a young rookie doing that. But same thing, looking downfield. They do have checkdowns available, but when you're young, you're in practice, you don't really get to your checkdowns in practice. In practice, you want to be aggressive downfield. And you never get it ingrained in your mind like it's okay to like boom, boom, check down.
Yep.
In practice, it almost feels like a wasted play. And when you watch film, you're going against a scout team, so there's going to be guys that you can always throw to downfield. And you throw a check down, coaches are never like applauding you. They're like, no, be aggressive. So as a young player, that's why you see young players struggle getting through progressions because they don't really have the coaches that probably run the drills.
Yeah.
The way you counteract
defensive coordinators are willing to bet that young players won't get through their progressions.
So they just drop it out and then they scramble around and they get free hits. So you might wonder, okay, Nick, like in practice, we have to do that. We have to be, okay, well, what do you have to have? John DeFilippo was my quarterback coach in Philadelphia. And every day he did so many drills with us, so many footwork drills. Oh, here we go. A little Bible. Little AI. We're going through the Bible. John the Baptist. Love it. Thank you, AI. Hey.
At least that popped up unexpectedly.
Yeah, thank goodness. Hey, the Bible.
If I'm going to have something randomly pop up on my phone, that's what I want it to be. Anyways, keep going.
But Coach Flip used to put us through so many footwork drills and then so many different drills where we go through the protection. What am I trying to say? We go through the progression, move around in the pocket, different things are thrown at us. Maybe we go up, slide, and we get to the check down. So when we rep the plays, you're trying to be aggressive downfield, but he would teach us like, hey, here's the progression. You're going boom, boom, hey, check down, boom, boom, check down. And then he'd even have a flat defender between. If you had 2 check downs, like you'd play off him if you're going through progression. So that was his way of teaching us, hey, here's how you work. If you lose your feet, get to the check down. That was the one thing we talked about. Pocket breaks down, get to the check down. Lose your feet. You see all the veteran quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford, great job. Oh, check down. Positive play. You want to stay inside the chain. Second and long, Also,
Well,
no one
on first down, if I told you we could have an 8-yard run, you'd be like, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Yet a check down for 8 yards sometimes feels underwhelming. It's the same thing.
And I say all that to say, just to give context to listeners, because I doubt, there's not that many people that know this part of the football. Like, watch the veteran quarterbacks, first down, second down. If they do check it down and they don't throw it downfield, like it's a positive play, and now it's third and short, third and medium. Third and long is a really difficult area to convert. So when I watch Jordan Love, his footwork and his ability with timing, with his footwork, everything correlates. People might not realize this. You don't just drop back deep in the pocket and just looking around doing that. Great coaches, each play has its own rhythm. Each play has its own design footwork to keep you in rhythm on time with your progression. Mm-hmm. So it might be a downfield 16 to 18-yard dagger or deep in route. Well, I know in the shotgun, it's 5, hitch, fire. 5 hitch, not there. Quick shuffle, check down, or shuffle, slide, back.
Yeah.
That's a Andy Reid thing. It's a Doug Peterson, Frank Reich, John DeFilippo. Those are great coaches teach that. Coaches that aren't great, they just teach you plays and say drop back and throw. So there's a difference. You can tell Jordan Love, with being with Aaron Rodgers and that coaching staff, has an extreme understanding of why the play is called, what his reads are, and the timing on his progressions. I watched it over and over again, and I was so impressed. There was one play, it was a play action, and also recognizing the coverage when they're dropping and the checkdowns there quick. You want to give it to your check down with 5 yards of separation so they can turn up, face up the defender, and make a move. Yeah. Your skill players should always make the first guy miss. That's how you know they're good. There was a play action, turned around, peeked downfield, saw that the defense dropped in zone right away, nice and easy to the back, 12-yard gain. I saw that over and over in the game, but he was also aggressive. Number one, he ran I think Tom had alluded, and maybe it was this game or another game. I think he called another game. He might have been calling
it Sunday,
yeah, he might have called a Philly game, but I watched several of them. And we used to call it like a beeline route. It's the tight end route where it's a hard play. They used to do it with Gronkowski a lot. Hard play action sort of drifts to the side. Matt Ryan was famous for it too in Atlanta. And you just got this basically like an 8 to 10 yard little miniature post right across the middle. Boom. He hits it to, I believe it was Kraft. Mm-hmm. And it's awesome. Like, he's aggressive. He knows where he's going. And that's why I am so impressed with what he's doing. And then he also has the ability to move around, scramble around, make a play with his legs. He showed that as well. So he is a complete quarterback. He is a complete player. With LaFleur, all the play calling, everything looks really good. I love the way they switch it up. I love the play calling. They're keeping the defense off balance, and they're doing it at a high level. Defense is dialed in. They will be a dangerous team down the road.
What I love is, and there were some things about Jordan's game coming out of Utah State. Is that what it was, Jordan Love?
Yeah, Utah State.
There were some things about his game, turn it over a lot, can be a little careless with the ball coming out. I love to see players go to an organization that can incubate talent and get them to where they're supposed to be.
Yep.
So like Josh Allen, for example, what was the slap on him when he was coming out? Not an accurate passer. And Troy Aikman had the famous quote of I don't think you can really train this out of guys. And he's become that guy. So credit to the Bills for that.
And he works on it. He has quarterback coaches that work on it.
If I can make a parallel to what we're seeing, it's what I love about the Packers. And part of it's just patience and good coaching, continuity at the coaching positions. If I can make a parallel to the Dodgers are an incubator of great talent. Right, they find a way to go get guys. And some would say, "Oh, they just pay everyone a ton." Okay, fair.
There's a lot of teams that do that.
There's more to it than that.
Look at the Yankees.
The Yankees pay everybody. The Yankees suck.
Yeah.
Right. They go get guys like Tommy Edman, their second baseman, and Tommy was a Gold Glover, I believe, in St. Louis. But they have made Tommy an even better version of himself. Tommy's playing at level, doing things defensively and with his bat that I think the Cardinals are even like, "Where the hell was that here?" Right. And if you watch the game the other night, that 18-inning game, they had a pitcher that came in that wasn't even on their roster like a month ago. I believe it was Will Klein that came in.
Yeah.
Guy with the beard.
Yep, Will Klein.
And if you told Will Klein before the series, hey, in a game, you're going to throw over 60 pitches in the World Series, he'd be like, what? I wasn't even expecting to dress out, let alone actually playing a game.
Now you're a hero.
Now they played 2 games in one night, 18 innings, and that's why he ended up in there. But the Dodgers, good organizations like this, they don't just pay people. Although the Dodgers deserve credit for that too. They take risk when doing that. They also incubate good talent. They bring out the best in talented players. And what you're seeing with the Packers is they went after a guy, and everyone saw the upside with Jordan. But people were still but the downside, is it really worth taking him in the first round when Aaron still has a couple of years left? And the Packers saw the bigger picture. And they thought, we're going to get him inside our building with our coaching staff, with that continuity, spend 2 or 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers, and we're going to incubate his talent. Much like you got a new company you're starting. You want to go to an incubator and get all these resources around it and have it flourish and be the best version of itself down the road. That's exactly what they're doing with Jordan Love. And it is so refreshing to see an organization be patient with a guy Now, Jordan didn't give him reason to move on. I know there's some quarterbacks that just really struggle. It's like, okay, that was a mistake. But it's so refreshing to see an organization do it this way and bring out and show us a guy right in front of our very eyes reaching his potential, the potential that we saw coming out in the draft. You guys are doing it the right way. Dodgers, in so many ways, do it the right way with guys. We were like, that guy would not be that same player if he were somewhere else. So, yes, you're surrounded with talent. That matters. But a lot of it is continuity, messaging, and resources around him. We're seeing the best version of Jordan Love right now.
Yeah, and we might have to start a baseball pod. I never thought I would do that. There's so many freaking games. But I will say this, watching the Dodgers, I was talking to Megan Barnes about this the other day. She's an avid Dodgers fan, unbelievable Dodgers fan. But she said the thing that's most impressed and why people love them so much is they do bring all these players in. They are paying them a lot of money. You said it. They get the most out of them. But look at the guys in the dugout. You got all these guys that are making all this money, but they care about each other, and there's no egos. Like, they're a bunch of guys that love and have fun to each other. You see it with their celebrations on the bases, their strength coach, like the hip flexor thing, and like finding the reasons why. These guys are all from different backgrounds, speak different languages, look different, but it shows you can actually come together as a team and do something amazing like the Dodgers are doing. It is so impressive. Both the Blue Jays and everything, it's an amazing World Series. It's been fun to watch. But I do say, like, whenever a team, you said the Yankees, like, they're paying guys, they're not optimizing.
The Mets pay the guys. They didn't even go to the playoffs.
It takes everyone. And that's, to me, what's so impressive about the Dodgers is they are doing that, but the egos are set to the side, and they truly are a team that we've talked about money. We've talked about contracts. We talked about that earlier with Myles Garrett, A.J. Brown. Look at the Dodgers. These guys are making a lot of money. Shohei Ohtani is making, what, $700 million? That's not even including his marketing. He's over $1 billion. But still, like, you see the guys and how they react to him and how he's smiling. Like, they just love playing with one another. They love playing the game.
And it wasn't pretty all year. Dodgers underachieved for a good part of the year.
No, but they're a team. I will say this. When you have a team with these superstars, because there are a bunch of superstars on Dodgers, ego set to the side, and they can come together, they start helping each other get better. I saw it in Philadelphia with Jason Peters helping defensive ends after practice with their rushing upfield and different moves. This is a Hall of Fame left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles helping them. I saw Jason Kelsey do the same thing. I saw Lane Johnson do the same thing, getting together after practice, helping young players out, and not just doing the standard, like, practice is over, I'm going to go get ready. They do it's all about the extra work. How do you make each other better?
For years, it was the Patriot way, right?
Yes.
The thought was the Patriots can go get anybody. They can go get Randy Moss, who was squirting referees with water bottles on the sideline, being a cancer for the Raiders. And everyone's like, dude, you want Randy Moss? He's not Randy Moss anymore. Oh, yeah, he is. What do you have, like 25 touchdowns that year or something like that? That was how it manifested itself early on. Now, these incubators, so to speak, the Packers, the Chiefs, right? Like Juju didn't know his work elsewhere, right? He works there as their third receiver. It's where there's a system in place that is bigger than the individual. The Eagles are that as well. And that's why I'm saying be careful with A.J. Brown. If you're an Eagles fan, nobody is bigger than the system. Nobody is bigger than the team, especially a wide receiver. And so we're all about incubating and getting the most out of talent. If somebody gets in the way of that, I don't care if they're a guy. I don't care if it's Saquon Barkley. You get in the way of that, you're gone. It's very simple. Nobody's bigger than the team in the system.
And I love that. And I love stories. So I have a story. And this is the culture in Philadelphia and why it is the way it is. So it's top-down culture, been there for a long time. The historical teams of the Philly. It's been built over time with the legends of the Eagles who would come back, like Dawkins and all those guys, Reggie White. So we had a player. I'm not going to name names, but
don't tell us his name.
No, I'm not going to tell his name. I'll tell you after. Great player, great teammate, but on another team was, sort of loud and silly and did his own thing. Comes and joins us for a year.
Was it a bad organization he was at before?
No, okay. It was a good. They were good. They actually won a Super Bowl one year, but like just very different. But like he had some years of struggle and some little bit of some issues, but nothing too crazy. But comes to the Eagles, and he has his boom box and he takes it like into the cold tub area and he's just blaring it and just doing his own thing like he did before. And I'm sure that was fine in the other culture. It's hard when you're like at the Eagles facility. It's not this huge facility. It's just the right size to make it work. But we never did that. That wasn't part of our culture. Like we weren't going to blare our own music and force everyone else to listen to it. And you can't hear your own self speak while people are trying to do rehab and stuff. So we had another player go up to him and be like, "Hey man, like in all due respect, that's not what we do here. If you want to listen to your music, just put on some headphones."
And that's symbolic of so much more than just the music.
Yeah. It's not just the music. This is an example of just like holding each other accountable. And this is a superstar player. And he was a great teammate. I enjoyed being his teammate. That's why I'm not saying his name, but I just don't want this to be out there. But it's not even a big deal. But I'm just sharing about the culture. And this is a star player for the Eagles was there his whole career. And he goes up to him and says, hey, man, like, love you, man, but put on your headphones. Like, we're not going to, like, people are working. Like, we don't want, like, music. People need to hear each other talk. Like, that's just not what we do here. He respectfully was like, oh, my bad, dude. Got it. That guy might have been an issue somewhere else or caused some stuff and ended up coming here. People after that year asked me, like, hey, what was it like? Even the GM, like, he was a great teammate. He was awesome. The Philly culture brought him in, and he became a better player, better person, and it did what it was supposed to do. But if you don't have a strong culture, all these different things start taking over, and then you don't have a cohesive unit. So, like the Dodgers, the Chiefs, and I know playing for Andy Reid, like, his big thing is let your personality show. Like, the Patriot way was, if you talk to any guys that played it, they were not, it was miserable.
Sure.
They won a lot of games, and they have the rings.
Yeah.
It was not fun, but they were able to have success. When we won in Super Bowl, we had some ex-Patriots on our team. They had a lot more fun winning a Super Bowl with us that year than they did with the Patriots, though they respect the Patriots and enjoy their time. Andy Reid, let your personality show, but he has a way of bringing in the culture and aligning it with what he wants to get job done. He holds people accountable, and you respect him. Same thing in Philly. That's a healthy culture. But you also, each culture has its own personality, but that's why it's important in sports. Like the Browns, we talked about Myles Garrett. They don't have that. Right. I like Stefanski. I've talked to him. He's never been my coach, but top down, I don't see it. Yeah. So I don't see the success. So that might be a culture podcast in the offseason.
No, it is. And like, look, there's only so many incubators, let's call them, in the NFL. There's not very many of them. And the Eagles are one. I would say the Steelers have historically been one, especially having as much continuity as they've had. And the Patriots are probably heading back to being one under Mike Vrabel. Packers are certainly one. I mentioned the Eagles. And the Chiefs are one by default because of Andy Reid and what they have at quarterback and with the stability with Patrick Mahomes. So it is, going back to the original point, it is really, really cool to watch teams incubate their talent and get them to what they should be. And it's exactly, so far, what the Packers have done with Jordan Love, and they've done it the right way, and they are a contender because of it, and it showed on Sunday night. All right, we are here today to make a point. This should be like, this shouldn't require that much. I shouldn't have to substantiate this all that much, but we do because of the nature of the award. So the MVP award in the NFL has basically become a quarterback award, unfortunately, I think. Now, quarterbacks obviously deserve, like, they get all the blame, and they should get as much credit as they get because they balls in their hand every play. But the running back position has almost become like it's like a foregone conclusion. They're not going to win the MVP.
Offensive MVP.
So I go back. It's like, hey, give the MVP to a quarterback, and then offensive player of the year is going to be either a crazy good receiver or a running back. Since the year 2000, here are the running backs to win an MVP: Marshall Faulk in 2000, Sean Alexander in 2005, LaDainian Tomlinson in 2006, and Adrian Peterson in 2012. So we have not had a running back win the award this century since 2012. It's been 13 years. Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts so far this year has 850 yards, 206 receiving yards, so 850 rushing, 206 receiving, 14 touchdowns. He's on pace for over 2,200 scrimmage yards. And I'm not going to go through all the yards of each of the guys that I just mentioned that won MVP, but he's right there with all of them as far as what he's on pace for. If he can stay healthy, keep his carries up, he's on pace to be right there with all those guys that won the MVP. And it's an intriguing year because we mentioned Jalen. If he stays on this pace and they keep winning and he keeps as explosive as they are in the passing game, he's going to be in consideration. Patrick Mahomes is under consideration. Baker Mayfield was on the path to being in the mix. I think he still is. We'll see how it all pans out for him given their injuries and all that. But I'm here, and I'm going to loop you into this too, to say, look, Jonathan Taylor at this point, the Colts are 7-1. They don't appear to have a weakness. They have the best offensive line in the league next to Detroit. They just pound teams into submission. The numbers say they're absolutely crushing people. They have the best record in football at 7-1. They have the best point differential in football as far as like the way the offense and defense is playing. And they're scoring 33 points a game. Daniel Jones deserves credit. 71% passer, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on the year. So what I'm bringing all this up, and by the way, Chris Ballard, their GM, and their owner, Carly Ursay-Gordon, and their head coach, Shane Steichen, deserve credit for 3 key moves this offseason. They drafted Tyler Warren, fantastic tight end, top 3 in the league. They added Daniel Jones. That took a risk. And they replaced Richardson with Daniel Jones. And they added, this is a key one, Lou Anarumo as their defensive coordinator. Massive. What they're doing defensively, schematically, if you watch the film, you're like, damn, I can't even. It's hard to identify what the hell they're even doing.
That was the Bengals.
He was with the Bengals for a while.
If they had him right now, they'd be doing a lot better.
Bengals could use him. This is a fantastic
Our
coach.
Jets bet would still be up.
I point to all this because all the pieces around what I feel like is the MVP so far this season in Jonathan Taylor, all the pieces around him are strong enough to point to the fact that this is sustainable for Jonathan. So since the year 2000, he's the 5th player with at least 3 touchdowns from scrimmage in 4 different games this season, and we're not even at the halfway point. You hear me on that? He's the 5th player since 2000 with at least 3 touchdowns in 4 different games this season. The last one to do that was LaDainian Tomlinson in 2006, and he won the MVP.
There was some statistic during the game where it was like 3 rushing touchdowns in like 3 games in a row, which set a record. And then they're like, oh, he said it.
Yeah.
And it was the light little toss that was like basically a handoff, but it became a pass.
It became a pass. But we're also talking scrimmage touchdowns too.
No, I know.
You were talking rushing.
Yeah. I'm just all over the place.
In 2020, like you could say, well, like other running backs have gotten close to this and not been MVP. So in 2020, Derrick Henry had 2,027 rushing yards. Now, Jonathan Taylor is more of a receiving threat. So if we talk about total yards, like he's going to end up with more than 2,027 if he's healthy. In 2024, last year, Saquon Barkley had 2,005 rushing yards. So other running backs have been, and I think the difference is in those years, maybe it was super obvious that there was a quarterback that should win it. At this point, Mahomes is in the mix. Jalen Hurts is in the mix.
No one's obvious.
But no one is as obvious. So that's part of it, just looking at like the practicality of like this award and how it actually works. But the Colts, what they're doing feels sustainable at 7-1. I don't think there's anybody in the AFC they cannot beat. And if you feel differently, now I will say this. I still feel as we get down the stretch into the playoffs and they match up with the Chiefs, I need to see Daniel Jones line up, even though this team is super complete. I need to see him like line up and stare Mahomes in the face and like beat him. I have my doubts on
Daniel
that.
Jones?
I need to see it.
Well, he'll never have to stare him in the face.
Well, you get what I'm saying.
Pat doesn't play
like,
DB.
He'll go toe for toe with him.
Is Pat
right?
playing safety now?
You get my point.
You don't have to worry about
You
the
get
QB.
my point.
Come on, man.
But Jonathan Taylor, where he's at this year, I think is the MVP of the NFL.
Like it.
And you might be like, well, yeah, whatever, dude. Obviously, he's had a great year. No, I'm actually saying that he should win the award
Yeah.
so far. A lot of game left to be played. He's got to stay healthy first and foremost. That's the key thing. And what scares me about Jonathan Taylor is that damn celebration he does. Every time he does his celebration and go to the end zone, it looks like he pulled something. You know, he does that like little like thing where he jumps from like one leg to another. It looks like he pulled his hamstring for like a split second. I'm like, will you stop doing that?
We
please?
would pull our hamstrings doing that celebration.
Well, it looks like he's like coming up limp, and then he does it, and you're oh, never mind. Okay, he's just celebrating because I don't want to see the guy get hurt. But this is a case for Jonathan Taylor and the MVP award because the Colts are fantastic. This does feel sustainable. They take care of business at the offensive line. They beat teams into submission. At times this year, it's felt like people are giving up against the Colts. They're like, well, we can't stop them. Jeez, this is ridiculous. They're pounding teams by the numbers. And then they also passed the eye test. So I think this is something that's going to be really interesting to watch as the year stretches on.
No, watching their last game, there was also a statistic that Daniel Jones has only been sacked 7 times this season.
Yeah.
Which is just a credit to their O-line.
Been great.
They're complete. With Daniel Jones, the reason I like it too is there's a purpose when a play caller calls a play and you have a veteran quarterback that understands that, he knows why you're calling the play. That's the biggest jump from young player to becoming a veteran is what's the purpose of the play call? Mm-hmm. Like you might get second down and long as a young player and you have like these stick routes and go routes on the outside and you're like, I'm going to just throw the go and you throw it out of bounds. It's like, no, like the coach actually was thinking like throw the stick, get to 3rd and 3 or get the guy catch and run out. First down. Well, watching Daniel Jones, he makes those right decisions. There was a 2nd and long, right away catch, ball out, guy cuts it up. I think either first down or 3rd and short. When I watched JT, I mean, I was his teammate, 80-yard touchdown, super impressive. The guy's an epitome of what an NFL player should be, not only from the physical attributes, but from a teammate in the locker room. Unbelievable teammate, no ego. Mm-hmm. Treats everyone in the facility with respect. He should be the NFL MVP in more ways than just a player. I know it's not that. They have other awards for that, but he is the complete package. He has no ego. He makes other players around him better. They are complete. I love, too, like the play action stuff they're doing. Alec Pierce downfield. Daniel Jones is doing a good job stretching the ball downfield. I will say this, and I said it early in the show. Their philosophy as a team, we pass to win. Or no, we pass to score. We rush to win. Mm-hmm. Okay, just let that soak in. We pass to score. We rush to win. Okay, Colts, in the NFL this season, first half, had the most passing yards in the NFL, first half of games. Second half of games, they have the third most rushing yards in the second half of games. So they're living
A lot
by
of times have a lead, right? That's
yeah.
part of it.
So, but that's what the philosophy is. Shane Steichen has ingrained this philosophy and this culture, and Daniel Jones and this team it's finally resonating because they have all the right people in place. They are complete now. Chris Ballard has finally built this complete team. They are stable at quarterback. Daniel Jones will most likely be the quarterback there for a very long time. First most in the league in the first half passing the yards. Third most in the second half. That's how you win games. You get up by people. You get up. And then in the second half, if you don't know football that much and you're listening, this is why you do this. You got to score points. You got to be aggressive. You got to throw the ball. You got to mix it up. You got to get those yards. You got to get explosive plays. Let's do that. Let's get up. Okay, now we have to have a great rushing attack. Why do you want to run the ball? Well, when you pass the ball and it's incomplete, the clock stops. The game becomes longer. When you run the ball effectively, the clock is constantly running and the game becomes shorter and it gives your opponent less opportunities to score. That is why that philosophy is in place. Mm-hmm. Hard to execute. You can only do that if you're winning early and they want to get up early and they want to wear you down the second half. I'm interested when they're down in games, though. Like, what's going to happen when they play against an opponent and they're down? Now, I don't see that happening this second half of the season because they have the 31st most difficult schedule in the NFL right now, the remainder of the season. They are only playing a couple teams that are over 500. They play the Panthers, the Patriots. They have a bye. Buccaneers, Titans, Bengals, Steelers, Falcons, Raiders, Texans. Very feasible. They're probably going to be going. They're going to win the AFC South. My thing is they're not going to be playing against these dynamic teams, and I don't see me like the Patriots is going to be good, the Bucks, but after that, like they're not playing against like great opponents. So like they're going to go like you said, face a good opponent in the Chiefs or play like the playoffs will be the question mark. But we'll get to that down the road. They got to take care of business right now in the regular season.
They're going to be a polarizing topic for a while. You're going to hear people say have a take on them that like, hey, they might be this year's Minnesota, right? New quarterback compared to last year. New quarterback, look really good throughout the regular season, then be outmatched in the playoffs. Different team. I don't think that's a fair comparison. This is a different football team. Minnesota did not have Jonathan Taylor, did not have this offensive line, did not have this kind of balance. Minnesota was a pretty good defensive team last year, but Sam Darnold was overwhelmed in the playoffs last year. But I think there's other dynamics at play here. And I think it's going to be very interesting to watch this team down the stretch. Certainly one of the most exciting storylines of the season this year.
One more point. I know you're from California. I'm from Texas. There's always this rivalry of the best football state, right?
Yeah.
Florida's in the mix. In college, you have a lot more of the heated rivalry talk. Right now, Indiana, you got the Colts and you got the Hoosiers. That state is rolling right now with college football and NFL football.
Lot to cheer for.
Shout out to Indiana. You are crushing it as a state with football right now.
All right, couple quick things before we get to picks. I want to before the season, we did like a little mini pod from Hawaii on the Bears. And the Bears, all the things they had going in their favor this year, from a schedule standpoint to quarterback to Ben Johnson, the hottest offensive coach out there, rebuilding their offensive line, adding weapons on offense. Like the Bears seemed to have things going their way. And last week we mentioned how the Bears are winning games this year in ways that are kind of ugly. They're 4-3. It's a winning football team. They're winning games that the Bears like a Bears team would normally lose. And so what I've sort of heard people say a few different times this year, like even after the last game, is like, hey, they're 4-3. Like Caleb's fine. Like he's fine. Like get off him, right? Like here's why that's not okay, right? Because the Bears have turned out to really not have a remarkably difficult schedule. They've played one team this year so far with a winning record in Detroit, and they're 4-3. So, generally they're a winning team. You've taken care of business, but it hasn't been the most difficult schedule. They have the hottest offensive head coaching candidate out there in Ben Johnson, who we know can draw up scheme and do good things on offense. And we all agree he's a really good coach. They spent tons of money on their offensive line and reshaped things. That's why they're running the ball better this year with DeAndre Swift. And they have really good weapons at the skill position. So I ask you this, like what would Drake May be doing in this system? Right. And my point here is like for the Bears to do what they need to do this year, it's not good enough for Caleb to just be fine. Like Caleb right now is not even top 3 in that class, that second-year class of quarterbacks, not even top 3. And so I don't know if we're looking at just what Caleb is. We talked about his habits earlier in the season and whether they'd be able to break those this year. He has some bad habits. And I think just his general game awareness is off. Like grounding calls and decisions made late in games. You're like, Caleb, what are you doing, right? So the Bears are at 4-3. Their defense is not perfect, to be very clear. They take it away, and that's sort of playing with fire, because when you don't take it away in games, you get hurt. And that's what happened to them against Baltimore. They lost to a Tyler Huntley-led Ravens team 30-16 because their defense didn't take the ball away. So you have to be able to sustain what you're doing without just getting takeaways. Now, granted, you can't give it away, but you can't just rely on takeaways because that's not always going to happen. And so Caleb being just fine is not good enough for this team, obviously. And so for this Bears team to do what we think they can do, given all these pieces, their coach, and good enough defensively, good pieces, Caleb has to take a step forward. I don't know if he can do it for the end of this season, but at 4-3, they're still in the mix enough for us to say, like, okay, our eyes are on you. But I think Ben Johnson knows too, our quarterback has to be better. As the number 1 overall pick in year 2, he's got to be better. And that's really just where things stand with the Bears right now.
Well, it's just fascinating. You know, I played in Chicago for 2 years, and have respect for the team in the city. But like, it just seems like quarterback play. It's a weird city.
Yeah,
it's always just fine. Like, I don't even think they have a 4,000-yard passer in the history of the organization.
But they need it though. There's a reason they haven't been in contention. They need it.
They need it. I mean,
it doesn't mean it's okay.
You got to no. You have to have an offense. This isn't the '80s when you won. Yeah. And it's a defensive game. It is an offensive game. The league is, with the kickoffs and everything, it is becoming an offensive game. It's also a challenge. This is my big thing, and I talked about it with the Giants. We'll see if their coaching staff survives this season. But these coaching staffs on their last leg, they get one final draft pick of a first-round draft pick at quarterback. Caleb Williams, great college player, Heisman Trophy winner out of USC, started his career at Oklahoma. Drafted, was he number 1? Drafted number 1?
Yeah.
By Eberflus. Eberflus is then fired.
Right. So
then Ben Johnson, great offensive mind. They're like, oh, I can make him work, comes in. Caleb Williams is a very different quarterback than Jared Goff. And great coaches, and Ben is trying to prove he can be a great head coach, have to build their offensive scheme around their quarterback. But all Ben's had success with calling plays, he's had great success, but it was with Jared Goff. That is a very, the flaws that Caleb has are not the flaws. Like, Jared doesn't have those flaws. Jared's going to sit in the pocket. He's going to go through the progression. He's going to read the plays. He's going to make smart decisions. That's why they had success, and they had the rushing attack. Drake May would probably fit that a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Caleb is going to run around and try to make plays, which is very different than where Ben Johnson had success. Right. Can he mold that? Like, will it be this year? I don't see it being this year. Could it be next year? Maybe next year. It's going to take time because it's almost like Caleb restarted his rookie year with a new coaching staff and new scheme. But Ben Johnson gives him ultimately the greatest success to be the franchise quarterback and do those things. Will it be this year? He's had some good moments, but the NFL and playing football is all about consistency and being able to do it week in and week out. So
I don't think he's moved the needle enough, and they need more out of him to keep winning down the stretch.
If anything, I think it will be, have like an okay year this year. Fine was the word you used, Evan. Big offseason for Caleb after this season, and then the Bears have a really good chance next year. I just don't see it this year.
Quick note before we get to the picks: the Chiefs at 5-3 on Monday night. Kind of an uneventful game, boring at times. There were 2 interceptions to start the game from Mahomes. But what I continue to be kind of taken back by with the Chiefs is a team just 3 or 4 weeks ago that feel like they didn't do a whole lot too well. Now feels like they do everything well, and that's culture and that's coaching. So they have more 30-plus point games and double-digit wins already this year than all of last year. Last year, a lot more close games. This year, they're scoring more points and winning by wider margins. They've had 400 yards 3 times in the last month of total offense. There's a clear hierarchy of wide receiver talent now. Rashee Weiss is clearly the number 1. Worthy's number 2. Juju's number 3. And you've also got Kelsey in the mix, who had a great game last week. Led him in receiving.
It's a solid group.
Right? Kelsey now has 83 touchdowns as a Chief.
That's about to be the greatest.
Tied for most all time with Priest Holmes. How about that?
It's amazing.
A tight end for all that. The defense is number 2 in football. Offensive line is still not even 100% healthy. They're not where they're going to be in 3 or 4 more weeks. And they've punted one time, they haven't punted once in the first half in the last 3 games. So going back to our playoff discussion, what doesn't stand? Denver being the best team in the AFC West at this point, hard to believe. Feels like the Chiefs are going to overtake that. All right, we are on to picks. What do you think? You ready?
I'm just finalizing my big pick, Nick. The last 2 ones have been double-digit spreads, right?
Yes, they are.
I feel like I want to keep that theme going.
Closer. Good luck.
I don't want to. I want to be. There's a couple double-digit spreads here.
What? LA, New Orleans is one of them, and then Green Bay, Carolina. Okay, Let's start Thursday Night Football at Baltimore.
I already know who you're picking on this one.
Thursday Night Football, Baltimore at Miami. Lamar is going to play this week, and I think this is the beginning of a run for Baltimore. What do you got in this game? 7.5 points.
I want you to start with this one because you've been all high on Baltimore's run and Lamar healthy. What do you think?
I'm betting they're about to make a play. I don't care what Miami did against Atlanta.
What do you have to spread it on the final sheet?
7.5.
7.5.
I don't care what Miami did against Atlanta, this fake confidence and all that. They were laughing on the sidelines, feeling all good about themselves. I think Baltimore blows the doors off them. Give me Baltimore on the road on Thursday Night Football, minus 7.5 with a fresh Lamar Jackson.
On the road, Thursday Night Football in Miami. I'm going with Miami.
You got Miami.
I got Miami.
Chicago at Cincinnati. Chicago minus 2.5. This is interesting. Cincy coming off a tough loss to the Jets. Joe Flacco still under center. Cincy's defense, they gave up it was a 21-6 deficit or something in the fourth quarter. Cincy fell apart against the bad Jets team. Chicago minus 2.5.
I got Cincy.
You got Cincy. It's a tough one. Give me Cincy as well. Cincy plus 2.5. Sorry. Atlanta at New England. New England's starting to get some respect by the books. These New England minus 6 lines at home give me the Tom Brady vibes back in that era. Atlanta goes to New England. We don't have an update on Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins at this point. I think it's up in the air on who plays. New England minus 6.
I'm going to save this one.
You're going to save it for pick of the week.
Yeah, I made my decision. I'm not going double digit this week.
Atlanta's been funky this year. Like, they'll disappoint, and then they'll come back and be like, damn, like they gave the ball to Bijan Robinson more. Their defense was pretty good. They're good against the pass. Give me Atlanta plus 6. Even if Kirk Cousins starts, I think it's going to be a better outing for him. Kirk Cousins is a pro. He will be ready for this game if he's the guy. If Michael Penix is back, I'm not going to change my decision here. Atlanta plus 6. Chargers at Tennessee. Chargers minus 9.5. On the road at a bad Tennessee team.
I got the Chargers.
You got Chargers? Minus 9.5. I'm going Tennessee. Give me the home dog plus 10.5. Minnesota at Detroit. Detroit minus 8.5. J.J. McCarthy is going to play for Minnesota. Carson is done for the year. There's some vibes that, like, J.J. in the state of Michigan, I don't know if you think this matters or not, is really good, doesn't lose in the state of Michigan. They are outmatched in this game against Detroit. Detroit minus 8.5. What do you got?
I got Detroit.
This one does give me pause, but I think give me Detroit. Detroit minus 8.5. I'm with you on that. Carolina at Green Bay. Green Bay minus 13 coming off their win against Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh.
God, that spread keeps going up.
Now they're at Lambeau. Is it Andy Dalton for Carolina? I believe it is. Carolina got their doors blown off against the Bills. It was bad. It was really bad. What do you got? 13 points.
If Andy's starting, I'm taking the Panthers. But if Andy's not starting, I'm not taking him.
Andy's starting.
All right, I'm taking the Panthers.
They're better with Bryce Young right now.
Andy
they've been respectable.
Yeah,
with Bryce
but
Young.
Andy's got a lot of juice left, and I know the last game didn't go well, but this game he's gonna be ready to roll.
As much as I like the Packers and as much as I like Jordan Love, we went into this earlier. The Packers haven't really shown up and blown people out when they're supposed to. Like, remember the Arizona game where they won? Like, they barely won. They barely beat Dallas, right? Like, I would say Green Bay is built to win, but I don't think Green Bay is built to blow people out, even though at times it looked like it might turn into a blowout at Pittsburgh. I don't think it's a team you can rely on to win by wide margins. Their defense is really good. Their offense is like, Jordan Love's a really, really good player. I don't love him to blow teams out, though. So I'll take Carolina plus 13. Indy at Pitt. This is interesting. So Indy, it feels like another prove-it game, right? On the road, I mean, Pittsburgh's defense should really struggle against Indy. Indy's only favored by 3. On the road at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh coming off a loss to Green Bay. Are they going to lose 2 in a row at home? Indy minus 3. What do you got?
I got Indy. I'm not betting against Indy right now. I'm going Indy.
I am betting against Pittsburgh's defense here. Yes, I love Indy. We just sung the praises of Jonathan Taylor and how he should win the MVP award. They are blowing people out. They have the highest point differential in the league. They score 33 points a game. Their defense with Lou Anarumo is really good. I like Indy minus 3 as well because I don't think this Pittsburgh defense is going to be able to get stops. And it's silly to ask Aaron, like, hey, try to keep up with what's going on here because we're not going to be able to get stops. I just think it's too much to ask. Give me Indy minus 3. San Francisco at the Giants. San Francisco minus 2.5. No Cam Skattebo.
We got Purdy playing?
I We have not gotten word that Brock is back. I would just assume it's Mac for now.
I guess it doesn't really matter. I got 49ers.
This could get interesting for the Giants at 2-6. If they go 2-7, now you're starting to think, okay, this thing is going to fall apart. This is what we were talking about, by the way. We saw an initial flash from Jackson Dart, and I do think Jackson's going to make plays as the year goes on.
Absolutely.
But if things really go south and we start to then talk about, well, we're looking at a coaching replacement, maybe it could get really bad for the Giants. And this is what we wanted to avoid with Jackson, is this. All these people that were like, after the first 2 games, we told you, no, that's not what we said. We said, let this thing go through week 17. If the wheels start to fall off, this is not good for Jackson Dart. I like the Niners at the Giants. I think the Giants, obviously without Cam Scatterbo, are not the same team, and I think the Giants are flirting with things getting pretty rough.
At what point in the season, with the record, do the Giants do you think they fire Daboll during the season at some point, or do you think he makes it through the whole year no matter what?
I think he makes it through the year,
Yeah.
Unless they don't win another game, and we're looking at if they're like sitting at 2-14. But at that point, I still don't think they make a move.
But it allows you to open the coaching search up, and then also you probably have Kafka run it, because Kafka was up for a head coaching job several years ago. So
what other jobs would they be competing against? Possibly.
I mean, in about a month, there's going to be several.
Yeah,
probably.
there will be more.
Yeah, there'll be more. We got the Titans.
Yep, Titans being one. All right, we both take San Francisco there.
Yep.
Denver at Houston. Houston's getting some respects by the books because Houston is turning a little bit of a corner here with C.J. Stroud. Houston -1.5. I mentioned how Denver's the best team in the league getting after the passer and also protecting their own passer. That balance is pretty lethal. But they've been a little inconsistent offensively. Denver is a dog on the road at Houston. Houston -1.5. What do you got?
Oh, Denver's the dog.
Denver is a dog.
Ooh, I got Houston.
Taking Houston?
Yep.
I'm a believer in Denver. Houston has been getting more respect. I think they're playing better ball, especially than they were early in the season. But I still think Denver has some room to improve offensively, and I think we'll see it. Denver +1.5 for me. New Orleans at the Rams. The Rams are a 14-point favorite. What's Puka Nakua's status? Do we know? I'm not sure if Puka's back yet or not. I believe he is. I'm not, because it was an ankle. Not 100% sure.
Expected to play week 9.
Expected to play week 9. Puka's a big piece to what they do.
Thank you, Tanner.
Rams are at home, 14 points. And Tyler Shuck, who came in the game for Spencer Rattler last week, and Kellen Moore. Tyler Shuck is starting this game at the Rams. I think that's why this is 14. It's like they're like, your first start at the Rams. Rams get laying 14 points.
This was actually potentially going to be the big pick, Nick, just to go with a double-digit spread.
So you like the Rams?
I'm going with the Rams. That's a lot of points, though.
It is a lot of points, and like,
but you love Matthew Stafford. You love the Rams.
Yeah. But here's the thing: you still got to get teams to show up and say, "Let's take care of business."
Well, do you think they're going to get to Stafford?
Bury him,
well,
right?
do you think they're going to get to Stafford? Like,
no.
Well, then he's going to kill him. Yeah, if the D line was going to get to him, I'd say then you have an issue. But if you don't get to Stafford, you're screwed.
I think Tyler Shuck's going to struggle. Could there be a backdoor cover? Sure, but this thing easily goes 17 or more points. I'll take the Rams -14. Jacksonville at Vegas. Jacksonville is flirting with things going the wrong direction after a really good start. Vegas is a bad football team. Jacksonville -3 is the line. I think this is a really important game for Jacksonville. If Jacksonville loses this game, then everything we saw early in the season is voided, and now we're like, they are on the wrong trajectory.
I agree with that.
Jacksonville must win this football game. They must, right? And the Rams are the Raiders are in a completely different boat. The Raiders aren't good. It's not going to change.
They're just trying to finish this year to get to next.
What do you got?
I think just with all the comments coming out of Vegas and just the culture hasn't been good for a while, you can just tell that's seeping into the team. And even with Pete Carroll there, this year has really surprised me with the Raiders. So I agree with you with everything with Jacksonville and Liam Cohen. This is a big game for them. They need to go out here and dominate to just show that the beginning of the season wasn't false. So I'm going with Jacksonville.
I'm going the other way. I've been on some bad football teams, and when you see games on the schedule when things aren't going well, if they had like the Chiefs coming in, I think the Raiders know we're in trouble.
Yeah,
they see Jacksonville coming in, and everyone in that building knows like, hey guys, this is a winnable game.
Yeah,
this is where we get back on track. And I think psychologically that permeates through the locker room. Like this is the game that we get and start to give our fans some hope, and we feel good about things. They're at home. I'm taking Raiders +3, and I think the Raiders win this game. And I think it's a bad loss for Jacksonville, and immediately start speculation about which direction they're going the rest of the year, because this would not be good.
Circle that game.
Game of the week. This will be the afternoon game of the week. Kansas City at Buffalo. This is going to get a lot of eyeballs. Kansas City goes to Western New York and is a 2-point favorite. Not a whole lot of respect for Buffalo at home. It's also a ton of respect for Kansas City, but Kansas City -2. What do you think? On the road at Buffalo.
I got Buffalo. I got Buffalo ready to roll. I know KC's good, but
You like it?
I like Bills.
I like how you took the Bills, because I think when I glance at this line, I always think, like, where are the books trying to point me here? And I think it is, whoa, you're going to give me like plus money on the Bills at home? You know, the reality is, like, Bills have Josh Allen. The window's always open when Josh Allen's your quarterback, right? Not so fast. Yeah, they beat up on Carolina last week. The Bills are a flawed roster. I don't like their defense. And I just told you numbers of what the Chiefs have done the last few weeks. I mean, they've had over 400 yards on offense. I think that's the number. 400 yards of offense 3 times in the last month. They're the second best defense in football. This is arguably, like, along with the Colts, the team that's humming the most right now. This is my pick of the week, and I'm going to come back to it in a second. Seattle at Washington. Seattle -3.5 on Sunday Night Football. On the road at Washington. I don't believe Jaden Daniels will be back yet, and then Washington is – they surprised. They kept it competitive for a little while, but Washington hasn't played great. What do you got?
I have Seattle.
I do as well. I think Seattle is that's a good balanced football team. I like where they're at. Arizona at Dallas on Monday Night Football. Dallas can't stop anybody, but they can move the football. Dallas -2.5.
And we got Kyler Murray back. Pretty sure he's back.
We're a little early in the week for injury updates, but I believe –
even though Jacoby's been playing great.
yeah, he has. What do you like?
You know what? Like I said before, sometimes you pick what you think, and sometimes you pick because your boy's on it. And I'm going to go with the Cardinals because of Pat O'Donnell. Okay. Hopefully he doesn't play much because they're rolling on offense. He doesn't have to punt. He's just holding, but I'm going to go Cardinals.
I'm going Dallas. They're 3-4-1 right now. I do think that this offense is tough for people to stop. Their defense is not very good, but then again, Arizona doesn't scare me offensively. Going Dallas. All right, I'll go pick of the week first, Nick. I like Kansas City. I kind of foreshadowed. I like Kansas City -2. I think the Bills will really struggle to stop them, and I think Steve Spagnuolo, the offensive coordinator for Kansas City, will have a plan for Josh Allen. I don't care that the Bills ran it as well as they did last week. They're going to struggle, and I think the Chiefs are a touchdown better than everyone else in the league right now, other than Indy. That's how I feel about the Chiefs. That this is and maybe not Philly as well, but the Chiefs are trending in the right direction, playing good football. They're only getting healthier. The pick of the week for me is the Chiefs -2.
Solid pick. You'll be wrong, but solid.
What do you got?
My big picnic of the week. Not going double digits this week, but I mean, I just love what the Patriots are doing. It might be the only time I say I love the Patriots, but I think what they're doing with Drake May, Vrabel, it's at home. Falcons are all over the place. Like, just you never know what you're going to get week in, week out with them. So I have Patriots covering the spread on this.
And just a refresher, that spread. I'm blanking. I'm missing it. Where is it? Okay, Atlanta, New England. New England -6.
Yep.
Is your pick of the week.
Yeah, they got to win by a touchdown.
And yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I took Atlanta +6, so I'm opposite.
We have a lot of
dangerous.
opposite picks this week.
Yeah.
This will be a fun week for us. I like it when we're not on the same page.
Should be a good week. Obviously, that Kansas City-Buffalo game is going to get a lot of eyeballs, too. That thing's going to break some records probably to see where the Chiefs are at. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun week. And this has been episode 12, a week 8 reaction, week 9 preview. And again, we invite you to follow us on Instagram at The Season Pod. Also, our YouTube channel at The Season Pod, the SZN Pod. And check us out for our mini pods as well. Usually on Sundays and Mondays, we'll put out some mini episodes as well to hit some current topics that are a little more time sensitive. And then our normal show on Wednesday. As always, we know there's a million places to get your NFL news and discussions. We appreciate you listening to what we're doing here at The Season Pod. Have a good day.